All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm calling the May 9th, 2023 meeting of the Board of Education to order in accordance with Government Codes Section 54950 Executor and Education Code Sections 35140 Executor at 5 o'clock. 1700, very good. Okay, we'll be adjourning to closed session for the purpose of discussing the following matters. Item 1, public employee discipline, dismissal, suspension, release, leave, assignment, non-reelection, non-reappointment, and resignation. Reinstatement pursuant to Government Code 54957. Item 2, personal matters, public employee appointments, employment pursuant to Government Codes 54957 with the items of Special Education Preschool Coordinator, Expanded Learning Assistant Director, Special Education Assistant Director, Principals, Assistant Superintendents, Directors, and Coordinators. Item 3, Conference with Labor Negotiator Dr. Alex Chernis, Superintendent, Dave Giordano, Assistant Superintendent, Business Services, Nancy Blade, Interim Assistant Superintendent, Human Resources, for the purpose of CSEA, APLE, and PLUM. Item 4 is an expulsion. The item is 2319C3. Item 5 are claims, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, Government Code Section 54956.9, subcategory D2. Legal counsel Stan Barkanowitz, Bernakowitz of Orbach, Huff, and Henderson, LLP. Also a general liability claim, number 62003, and a general liability claim of number 620639. Whew. So, is there anyone present who would like to address any of these items? Okay. Seeing none, we are adjourned to closed session at 17:03. Here we go. Okay, folks, we're going to reconvene to regular session at 18:09. The report out of closed session include item 1, the board took action to appoint Gwen Redera, Special Education Assistant Director, effective July 1st, 2023. The motion was brought forward by Leander Blade, seconded by Todd Frazier, and the motion carried 5-0. The second item, the board took action to appoint Brenda Hostein, Expanded Learning Assistant Director, effective July 1st, 2023. The motion was brought forward by Carrie Buck, seconded by Marilyn Anderson, and carried 5-0. Third item, the board took action to appoint Jamie Nash, Special Education Preschool Coordinator, effective July 1st, 2023. Motion was brought forward by Leander Blades, seconded by Marilyn Anderson, and it was carried 5-0. On the fourth item, the board met and voted to approve the stipulated expulsion agreement between Placentia-Yorba Unified School District and the parents of 2319C3. Motion was brought forward by Ms. Carrie Buck, seconded by Todd Frazier, and carried 5-0. Okay, folks, at this time I'd like to ask Ms. Blades to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand.
Okay, roll call is going to be, let the record show that all board members are present, including our student board member. Welcome. Okay, at this time I will need a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the May 9th, 2023 Board of Education agenda as recommended by the superintendent.
I'll second.
Is there any comments? All right.
One question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it amended because of the changes in the logo? Or is it
Oh,
just
yes. Okay.
Okay, all of those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And our student board member? Aye? All right, excellent. So the motion carries 5 plus our student board member. Okay, at this part, folks, public comment cards are available in the foyer. Cards must be completed and turned in prior to the designated time for public comment. We will provide a maximum of 3 minutes per person. If translation is needed, an additional 3 minutes will be given. Please let us know ahead of time so we can ensure that we are prepared. We do have a civility policy. Education Code 220 prohibits discrimination on the basis of disability, gender, gender identity, gender expression, nationality, race, our ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, or any other characteristics that are contained in the definition of hate crimes set forth by section 422.55 of the Penal Code, including immigration status. All right, I need a motion for the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting on April 11th, 2023.
Second.
All right. Motion by Ms. Marilyn Anderson, seconded by Ms. Carrie Buck. Any comments? Yep. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And aye from our student board member. Great. Motion carries. Okay, here we go. A lot of motions here, guys, so hold on for a sec. Next one, item 2.
It is the recommendation of the superintendent of schools that the Board of Education approve the minutes of the regular meeting of April 18th, 2023.
I'll second.
Okay, Ms. Blades, seconded by Mr. Frazier. Comments? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And there'll be no student board member on this one. Okay. Item 3.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of April 19th, 2023.
I'll
Second.
Wow.
You have
I
to
give it to
pick.
Carrie.
Give it to
Okay, Carrie got that one. All right, motion was brought forward by Mr. Frazier and seconded by Ms. Buck. Any comments on this? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, motion carries 5-0. No student board member needed. Okay, item 4, special meeting.
It is the recommendation of the superintendent of schools that the Board of Education approve the minutes of the special meeting of April 22nd, 2023.
I'll second.
Okay, Ms. Blades, seconded by Mr. Frazier. Any comments?
I wasn't at this meeting, so I'm going to abstain.
Abstain.
I'll be also abstaining.
2
'cause I wasn't
abstaining.
there.
Got it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, abstain.
Abs-
Habit.
No worries, I got it. All right. Okay, motion carries 3-2. Okay, item 5.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of April 25th, 2023.
I'll second.
All right. Brought forward by Ms. Anderson, seconded by Ms. Blades. Any comments on this regular meeting? None? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, aye as well. And none from our student board member. Okay, item 6.
It is the recommendation of the superintendent of schools that the Board of Education approve the minutes of the special meeting of April 28th, 2023.
Second.
Okay, Ms. Blades, seconded by Ms. Buck. Any comments on this? Yep, all right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0 with no student board member. Whew, that was it. Sorry, guys. We'll move on to our next item, which will be our recognition. We have a couple of recognitions today. I would like to turn this over to Dr. Shelley Spessard.
Good evening, President Youngblood, trustees, Superintendent Dr. Chernus, Executive Cabinet members. Tonight we will have the time to honor some very deserving 8th grade students in our Advancement via Individual Determination program, also known as Avid. Avid is a nonprofit organization that supports students by helping schools shift to more equitable, student-centered approach. The program's mission is to close the opportunity gap by preparing all students for college and career readiness and success in our global society. Each year, the Avid Standout Award is given to students who have demonstrated excellence, collaboration, integrity, and service in their academic achievements and individual determination. These 6 students before us this evening are being recognized for their high GPA, community service, and involvement in leadership and extracurricular activities. Many hours of dedication and hard work are behind these students' accomplishments. This recognition represents the determination, perseverance, and commitment each student has dedicated and demonstrated towards their education. Joining us in this honor to support these outstanding students are their Avid principals, counselors, teachers, and Mr. Paul Laporte, our Avid's teacher on special assignment. Thank you for being here. In addition, yes, absolutely. In addition, we would also like to acknowledge and thank our students' families for their continued support and for being present with us tonight. I'd like to invite the Avid 8th grade standout student from Placentia-Yorba Middle School, Paloma Ortega, and Avid teacher Phil Seitz to join me next to the lectern.
Paloma is certainly an Avid standout. She approaches learning with a smile and eagerness to succeed. She chooses rigorous points of confusion for her TRFs. She demonstrates her level of understanding clearly, and her presentations are concise and yet thorough. She fills out her school planner in a thorough manner. Each week she is inspected when completing her weekly grade check and reflection. At home, Paloma is dedicated to serving her family. In particular, her grandparents that live with her. Her classmates recognize her dedication to learning, and her dreams and aspirations demonstrate just how high she is willing to reach to be successful.
And if our students want to stay up, they absolutely can. We'll be taking a picture in a little bit. Thank you so much. Next up, I'd like to invite the Avid 8th grade standout student from Kramer Middle School, Narelli Bandera. Oh, I love it. And Avid teacher Sheila Chu to join me. That is the best.
Nurali is an outstanding Avid student at Kramer Middle School. Her work is always turned in on time, and she always scores in the top 10% of the class for every assignment. She has a similar academic reputation in all of her classes, responsible, high achieving, and driven to be successful. She has a wide range of extracurricular activities and community involvement. We are thrilled to nominate her for her Avid Angel Scholarship, and I also get to be her math teacher.
Yeah.
We got a proud principal over there. Saw that. Next up, we'd like to recognize the Avid 8th grade standout from Travis Ranch School, Dylan Arumbula. Accompanying Dylan is his Avid teacher, Kimmy Carlos. Thank you.
Dylan is Avid. He is a model student for demonstrating the core principles of advancement via individual determination through the lens of respectful, quiet leadership. He embraces every challenge with grit and perseverance and always pushes forward through obstacles with a relentless attitude. Dylan is making all of the right choices for school and for life. Dylan is growing into a young man who has decided that he gets to choose his future. Now, I'm going to try to read this in Spanish too, if you guys don't mind. So please, some moral support. All right. Dylan es Avid. Es un estudiante modelo para demostrar los principios básicos del avance a través de la determinación individual a través de la lente de un Sammy, oh, I'm sorry. This one, the leadership one. Liderazgo, respetuoso y tranquilo. Acepta cada desafío con coraje y perseverancia y siempre empuja hacia adelante a través de los obstáculos con una actitud implacable. Sorry. Dylan está tomando todas las decisiones correctas para la escuela y para la vida. Dylan se está convirtiendo en joven que ha decidido que él pueda elegir su futuro. Yay!
Next up, I'd like to invite the Avid 8th grade standout from Tuffrey Middle School, Naomi Cruz. And Avid teacher, Darshell Lapworth. Did I say your name? Right. Naomi.
It's hard to follow that one up, but I'll try. Naime is an exceptional student and individual who is very deserving of the Avid Standout Award and recognition. Naime is confident, capable, intelligent, and cheerful. She works hard and pushes herself to take on new challenges and serves as a mentor and positive example for her peers. I continue to be impressed with her interest in giving to others, as well as her perseverance and dedication to her goals, and I am so excited for her future. I know that Naime will continue to be her amazing, bubbly, energetic, fun self, and I hope she never tones that down for anyone because it's a gift. It has been a pleasure and honor to be her teacher these past 2 years. Congratulations, Naime.
Next up, I'd like to invite the Avid 8th grade standout from Valadez Middle School Academy, Arlene Yoret Moreno Garcia, and Avid teacher Amanda Peranto. Congratulations.
Okay, I'm probably going to cry. Just warning everyone. We chose our Lenny to be our standout because she is a standout among standouts. It's already happening. She shows leadership when she helps her peers, tutoring others in math, and when she works with younger students in Pride Connection, the mentoring program at Valadez. Our Lenny is not afraid to try difficult tasks. Being a redesignated English language learner means our Lenny works twice as hard to maintain her 4.0 GPA. She does not see challenges as barriers. She sees them as opportunities to grow. However, our Lenny's greatest quality is heart. Our Lenny goes out of her way to help her teachers, her friends, or even other students on campus. At home, she helps her family and especially her mom, who's here with us today, who's also incredible. Her heart makes her a remarkable person and a beautiful soul and the type of human we should all strive to be. Our Lenny.
And lastly, I'd like to invite the Avid 8th grade standout from Yorba Linda Middle School, Gavin Smith, and Avid teacher Michelle Miller to join me.
Okay, it is with great pleasure that Yorba Linda Middle School unanimously selects Gavin Smith as their 8th grade Avid standout. Gavin embodies the values that Avid stands for and brings a positive, encouraging energy to everything he does. He is a dedicated scholar, takes pride in his work, and always upholds strong integrity and character. He leads his peers in a way that promotes kindness to make our school a better place. After talking with Gavin, you will always leave a little happier. Congratulations, Gavin.
The Avid 8th grade standouts were also recognized by the Orange County Department of Education and Angels Baseball on May 3rd at Angels Stadium of Anaheim. All of our standouts received a certificate, medal, and an Acer Chromebook. Remarkably, Arlene, who we shared about earlier from Valadez, was awarded a $10,000 scholarship for college. This is for college, and she also got, probably most importantly, how exciting is this, a personalized Angels jersey. She was one of the only 8 in the entire county. As a small token of our admiration for these bright young students, we will be presenting them with a custom PYLUSD Avid Challenge coin and a certificate. Let's congratulate Arlene and all of our 2023 Avid standouts with one more round of applause. Thank you so much. I'd like to now invite our Avid Standout students and teachers, if you'd mind coming up one more time, to stand in front of the dais for a picture with the board members and shake hands. Then we'll have you return to the audience. Thank you so much. So you're going to come right over here with your teachers. We're going to go to the back. Congratulations. All right, take you all.
All right, that was awesome. Okay, so we have one more recognition to do. I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Chernis.
All right. Good evening, President Youngblood, trustees, and executive cabinet members. The National Parent-Teacher Association, otherwise known as PTA, has a long-standing commitment to arts education, similar to that of Placentia-Yorba Unified. Each year, the National PTA's Reflection Program encourages students to explore their own thoughts, feelings, and ideas, develop artistic literacy, increase confidence, and find a love for learning that will help them become more successful in school and in life. The theme of this year's Reflections program was Show Your Voice, which encouraged students to produce works of art that showcase their individuality in 6 categories: dance choreography, film production, literature, music composition, photography, and visual arts. This year, PYL had 582 student artists from 22 schools to participate in Reflections, and that's incredible. And it was organized by Placentia-Yorba Unified Council, known as PYLUC. I'm learning all the acronyms. It's taken some time. 26 entries then advanced to the 4th District, which represents all of Orange County PTA members, as well as members in a small portion of LA County. 15 of the 26 entries received 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place awards, and 5 awardees were then forwarded to the state level competition. Notably, 3 of 5 entries received recognition at the state level, and 2 were forwarded to the national level competition. So we'll take this time to recognize these 5 students tonight. Unfortunately, one of our awardees, Emma Schroeder, a 6th grader at Woodsboro Elementary, couldn't join us, but we'll speak to her later on. Now, if I could please ask Daisy Baga to come on up, 5th grader at Tynes Elementary School. Kendra Livergood, 10th grader at El Dorado High School. Caden Surtees, 7th grader at Kramer Middle School. And Fernando Nunez, 9th grader at El Dorado High School. All right. So, first, our students that advanced to the state level competition. Daisy Baga from Tynes. Please wave. Daisy? All right. So, Daisy produced an acrylic painting titled Mixed Actions in the Intermediate Visual Arts category. In sticking with the program theme, Show Your Voice, Daisy's original work reflects her wish from the world to be a more accepting and tolerant place. Now, as a result of her efforts, Daisy will receive a participation award from the California State PTA. So let's give Daisy a round of applause. So next, as I mentioned, Emma Schroeder from Woodsboro. Emma's reflection entry falls under the middle school photography category. Her piece is titled I Heart Books, and it was also chosen to be on display at the California PTA convention in April. As a result of her efforts, Emma will receive a participation award from the California State PTA. And although she's not here this evening, let's give her a round of applause. Kendra Livergood. All right, Kendra. So Kendra submitted an original work in the category of high school film production and received the Award of Merit, earning her a medallion and a certificate, and her film was on display at the California PTA convention in April. Yes. So Kendra's film, titled Last 3 Years, features an interview of her sister sharing about some of her personal struggles in recent years, struggles that are so often faced by teens and by young adults today. Thankfully, Kendra's sister found her voice to help others. Let's give her one more round of applause. Now, our students that also advanced to the national level competition were submissions underwent 2 rounds of review by esteemed arts professionals across the country. The national awards were announced on May 1st, and the virtual national PTA convention will begin June 15th. And so first, Caden Surtee from Kramer. Please raise your hand, Caden. So Caden's original music piece, titled Hear Me, is perfectly described through his winning artistic statement, which reads, "My original composition was created with 2 main instruments, the violin and the tabla. I express my Indian voice. Through the melodies, let's see, let me rephrase that. My original composition was created with 2 main instruments, the violin and the tabla, a percussion instrument native to India. Through the beats of the tabla, I express my Indian voice. Through the melodies of the violin, I express my American voice. Combining tabla, violin, and my original orchestral creation, I am able to share my unique perspective through the universal language of music." So due to his artistic interpretation of the theme, Show Your Voice, he was invited to the California PTA Convention to perform his composition and receive his Outstanding Interpretation Award. And being one of 7 artists representing the arts categories, his efforts earned him a trip to Sacramento to perform and receive a plaque, a certificate, and a $100 Amazon gift card. Yes. So Caden's composition was forwarded to the national level of competition, where it was announced that Caden received an Award of Excellence for Music Composition in the middle school age division. This earned him an additional $200 scholarship, a silver medallion, and a certificate. His entry will now be featured in the National Virtual Art Exhibit. Let's give him one more round of applause. Last but not least, Fernando Nunez from El Dorado. All right. So Fernando's film, titled Venture Academy, is a documentary featuring our very own Venture Academy Choir, the adult transitional program here in PYLUSD. Yay, let's give it a hand. So Fernando received the California PTA Reflections Award of Excellence for film production in the Special Artist Division, where he received a medallion and a certificate. His film was also on display at the California PTA Convention in Sacramento and was forwarded to the national level of competition. On May 1st, the National PTA Award results were announced, and Fernando was distinguished the Award of Excellence in Film Production in the Special Artist category. His efforts earned him a $200 scholarship, a silver medallion, and a certificate. Like Caden, his entry will also be featured in the National Virtual Art Exhibit. Let's take a moment to watch Fernando's film now.
The choir means to me as you're part of a really big group of people and you sing along with them. Show your efforts, your talents, and your energy. And when you're part of a choir, you feel like you're gaining experience, talent experience.
Once I had a bad experience on stage. I was in church camp and I wanted to sing this song called Just Give Me a Reason. And what happened is that when I went on stage, I sang the song and I was doing good, but then in the middle, I saw a whole bunch of people looking at me, and that made me so afraid that I lost my part. And then what happened is that after that I didn't go on stage alone or sing alone on stage because I'm like freaked out. I get so scared and stuff like that. So yeah. I decided to join the choir, and the choir is really nice. There's a lot of amazing kids that could sing. We have this amazing singing teacher. Her name is Miss Carmen. She's an amazing teacher for singing in our group choir.
There's two things that I've done all my life, teaching and performing arts. So I decided to bring the choir to Venture, and we tried before. But with the pandemic, we couldn't start. But fortunately, when Rebecca Allen, our principal, came to Venture and Yoshi, I found a lot of support from her to start this choir. And we performed, the first time we performed was in the graduation of our students last year. And they really enjoy the choir. They really like it. Some have a lot of fun. Some wait for it every week. And whenever I'm walking around campus, they just look at me and say like, choir, choir. So it's really fun. I have very talented students in this choir. They can sing by themselves, and some of them even play instruments.
So I'm a special education teacher for adult transition, and choir has just been an amazing experience. We have a fabulous choir director, Miss Carmen, who's just the best and knows how to get the most out of students and makes it fun and exciting, and it makes it exciting for us teachers to watch and the staff, and we're just so happy and blessed to have her here. And when we see them on stage and they're performing, it's just, you know, there's like tears in everybody's eyes. It's just, they're so, you know, they just feel accomplished. They feel like they're able to do something, you know, that not everybody gets to do. So it's very exciting for our special needs students. I'm very thankful for her.
Miss Carmen is going to give me the music and braille.
So in closing, we'll be presenting our students with a commemorative PYL-USD certificate tonight for their efforts. And beyond these 5, we're really proud of all the students who participated in Reflections. Full to our teachers who foster creativity and art instruction in our classrooms. The district also extends gratitude to PYL-UC and its members, including Reflections Chair Debbie Grant. Let's give her a hand, Debbie. Who all work diligently to organize and administer a successful Reflections program each and every year. Let's give all of our students and our members of PYL-USC one more round of applause.
Okay, folks, before we move on to our other order of business, why don't we go ahead and take about 5 minutes, stretch, and restroom break or whatever. Okay, thank you, folks. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Okay, our next portion is a public hearing. If we could close those doors, please. Thank you. Okay, public hearing will be held relative to the Draft Environmental Impact Report, or the DEIR, regarding El Dorado High School Field Lights Project. So at this time, at 18:55, I'm going to go ahead and declare it open. With that, it looks like I have 8 speakers that would like to speak on this topic. I'll go ahead and name off the first 4. You guys can come up to the front, sit up into the front row. Mike Turner, Stephanie Turner, Shani Murray, and Miss Heather Fields. First one wants to go up to the podium. We'll have 3 minutes for comment.
Okay. Good evening to the board, to the school board, guests. My name is Stephanie Turner, and I live on Brower Avenue, basically on the 50-yard line. In regards to the school lighting project, I have strong concerns. First, I am not an expert in environmental analysis, but my common sense leads me to disagree with some of the EIR's conclusions. First, I disagree with the aesthetics analysis. There will be significant light and glare impacts to the neighborhood. The document claims that lighting will have a less than significant impact along Brower Avenue. However, figure 5.16C illustrates the glow that will impact the entire neighborhood, but the picture is from the front of the homes, not the back. Number 2, the analysis shows very minimal spill light along the back fences of the properties along Brower. What happens to the neighbors if this analysis is incorrect? If this project moves forward, I propose you add a mitigation measure for post-installation light testing to ensure the light levels are less than or equal to those shown in the analysis, and then post-installation testing to ensure that the lights operate as designed in longer term. Next, I question a couple of statements and conclusions in section 5.3.3.2 regarding greenhouse gas emissions. First, under Impact 5.3-1, the analysis says, implementation of the proposed project would result in installation and operation of 4 permanent light poles for a high school sports stadium. I have that in bold. This is very concerning. I hope this is an error and not preview of the future desires of the district, especially since we have been told the project is for practice. Same section 5.3.3.2 regarding greenhouse gas emissions indicates that the project will result in a reduction in vehicle miles traveled, VMT, because students would be able to attend practices at their school. I believe this analysis is inaccurate because it does not discuss all of the other types of trips to the field discussed in section 5.5, transportation. It is highly likely that other community groups will be able to use the fields, which cannot do so now. This type of traffic is discussed in section 5.5 of transportation, and will result actually in an increase in VMT, which contradicts itself. This project does not include a PA system, however, capitalized. There is no guarantees that one won't be added in the future. I'm concerned that the district will add a PA without an EIR or any notice or public input. This would only serve to exacerbate the noise impacts that you have already identified as significant and unavoidable. As everyone knows, the EIR describes noise impacts as significant and unavoidable. Those are words that adjacent homeowners never want to hear when talking about a practice that is occurring right along their back fence. Sorry, is that 3 minutes? 3 minutes, almost done. Based on my understanding of CEQA, the board will eventually be asked to make a statement of overriding considerations, which will basically state that this project matters more to the board than the impacts of the community or the people who live there and their quality of life. Please consider carefully the irreparable impacts this project will have on neighbors along Brower. I've been a good neighbor. We're asking you to be a good neighbor. Just because you can doesn't mean you should, and just because you can doesn't make it right.
Thank you, Ms. Turner. Thank you. Mike Turner, come on up.
I'm going to take a different approach. Esteemed school district officials, I'd like to bring to your attention my concerns regarding the El Dorado field, which is located only a relatively short distance from the bedroom of several children. As we know, a good night's sleep is crucial for the overall well-being of children. I understand the Placentia-Yorba School District shares this view, as evidenced by the recent decision to start El Dorado High School at 8:30, allowing high school students additional sleep. According to the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, children the age 6 to 12 require 9 to 12 hours of sleep per day. If an elementary school student required to be at school by 7:50 a.m., they would need to wake up at 7 a.m. at least. However, to ensure the children in the neighborhood get 12 hours of sleep, they would need to be in bed by 6:30 p.m. We all know that's a tall order of its own right. A reasonable bedtime would be for a child aged 6 to 12 would be 6:30 to 7:30 p.m., as it gives time to unwind and fall asleep. But if they go to bed at 8 p.m., it's currently only possible due to the excessive field noise. It termed in your report, the amount of sleep they would get is only 10 and a half hours, which is only the median of a recommended sleep. What if they can't go to bed till 10 p.m. because of excessive noise from this build? In that case, they'd only have a chance to capture 8 to 8.5 hours of sleep. This is below the Center of Disease Control and Prevention recommendation hours of sleep per day. Even if we move the elementary school start time to 8:30, we are only still providing our children with the bare minimum amount of sleep. As a community, we should strive to create policies that are inclusive and beneficial to all Placentia-Yorba students. While it's commendable to provide additional available sleep time for high school students, the decision to subject younger students to excessive noise levels from El Dorado Field and reducing their available sleep hours is not an inclusive decision. We must remember that our school district serves the students of all ages, and every decision we make or you make should be mindful of its impact on all Placentia-Yorba students. I urge you to reconsider your decision.
Hi, my name is Shani Murray, and I'm just going to preface this with my comment is based on the presentation that was given at the last meeting, which I thought would have met with neighbors, such as the comments we just heard. So I hear you. But I was going to say that I support getting field lights at El Dorado. After the presentation on this issue at the last board meeting, I thought the main obstacle was noise pollution. But when pressed on the issue, the presenter acknowledged that the real concern is band practice between 8 and 10 p.m. I was going to agree with Leandra for once and say I don't see why we can't create an agreement saying the band won't practice at that time. Other programs shouldn't lose out on field lights, something I believe every other high school in the district has, when this would be a compromise between El Dorado and the houses that back up to the field. Continue to have band practice in the morning, give other students and athletes access to a fully lighted field later in the evening. Yes, there are temporary lights there now, but according to my student, they don't sufficiently light the field. So I'm sympathetic to the families that are there, but I hope that there would be a way to identify what the noise levels are. I don't know what they currently are, and maybe come to an agreement with El Dorado and put in writing things they can't do and can't build into the future, etc. So, thank you.
Hi, thank you for your time. As neighbors to El Dorado, we are strongly opposed to the proposed lighting project. The biggest concern is the excessive noise that is identified as a significant adverse impact in the EAR. In particular, we are concerned that the project is specifically designed to add band practice to the field late into the evenings and for longer periods of time during the year. As neighbors, we are already forced to deal with band practice that starts at 7:15 a.m. 5 days a week and some weekends throughout the fall. In fact, the EIR reports that sound levels have been recorded at 7:30 a.m. that fall into the category of clearly unacceptable per the City of Placentia General Plan. We also already hear the football practice in the afternoons and are often subjected to loud and abrasive yelling from the coaches, which is often not very family friendly. The new project is now proposing to force neighboring residents to be subjected to further noise impacts from these activities both later into the night and for longer periods of the year. The burden of the additional cumulative degree of these noise impacts is not reasonable or fair. Additionally, the time curfews for noise are already not adequately enforced. Recently, I or my sleeping toddler have been woken as early as 6:45 a.m. because students were let onto the field early and started yelling and making noise with their friends. Frankly, it's not very reasonable to assume that teenagers are going to be thinking about keeping it down before and after practice out of respect for sleeping neighbors. And the adults on the field are already not keeping everyone quiet because it's very easy to underestimate just how much noise carries from the playfield into the neighboring homes when there is zero sound buffer installed. Another consideration is light trespass. The AIR argues that nighttime glare will be reduced, but it ignores the fact that the light trespass will be extended later into the evening and for longer hours overall. Also, the views presented in the report, as the previous speaker mentioned, are misleading because the view along Brower Avenue is taken from across the street rather than in the yards of the homes most directly affected by light trespass. And the light glare measurements were taken from ground level and don't take into consideration light trespass into second-story bedroom windows that would be most affected. Lastly, the aesthetics of the project are another aspect that is underestimated. The reality is the giant 80-foot light poles being proposed are a total eyesore, not just for the immediately adjacent neighbors, but for all neighboring property owners and citizens that drive along Brookhaven and Brower Avenues. We have some additional points that my husband Nick will be following up with. Thank you.
Okay, next up, Nick Matthews, Craig Fulmer, Paul Poggetti, is that correct? And Coleman, I think that's Balmer. Nick, you'll be first up.
Thank you for allowing us to speak. So I'm continuing off where Heather was. So another consideration that we have with is the rising price of energy costs. Essentially, we're being robbed of the ability to have our windows open at night and to enjoy a cool breeze in our homes without having to use the air conditioning system. Obviously, in the wintertime, that's not going to be as much of an impact, but during the spring and summertime and then August and those months is going to be very impactful for us. The noise impacts make it impossible for us to keep our homes quiet enough to put our toddler and our soon-to-be future child to bed at a reasonable time. Also, that they're not going to be able to sleep beyond 7 a.m. because of the band practice. As educators, I'm sure the district is aware of the studies that have shown poor sleep quality can affect not only the academic performance but behaviors of young children and teenagers. This doesn't just affect our sleep and the ability to keep our windows open, it also limits the ability to spend peaceful time in our yards without being constantly overwhelmed with exterior noises that have been demonstrated to be in excess of the city noise ordinances. With one young child and another baby on the way, our family is directly impacted by this project in profoundly significant ways. But we are just one family of many. Between the completely unacceptable noise impacts that extend far beyond the boundaries of the school itself, the extended period of light trespass, and the unappealing aesthetics of the light poles, the negative effects on the project on the property values of the surrounding homes is also something that's not presented or even considered in the EIR. Lastly, this project is simply not necessary. The field is already used essentially full-time with soccer or football practice using the existing facilities. Why should these sports, which are significantly less impactful to the surrounding communities in terms of noise, be displaced just so that the band can practice here when they're already doing so in the mornings? Won't that just mean a different set of students will have to commute for their practice? In conclusion, the majority of these very significant and impactful concerns are tied directly to the proposed increase in band practice on the playing field in the evening hours and throughout longer periods of the year. No part of this project should be implemented as it prevents a significant, unavoidable problem for the surrounding community with very limited benefit for the school. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Board. My name's Craig Fulmer. I'm probably the longest resident of El Dorado now. even have a board member that played football with one of my kids. So I've been around a long time, and I could go on for a long time on this. 80-foot poles behind people's houses. And by the way, they're going to be 10 or 12 feet behind their house. These are not setbacks like Valencia High School or Yorba Linda. This is literally in their backyard. The light wash on the other side, you're only talking 55 yards, and they're lighting the whole field. That wash is going to come into all of these houses, second floor that the one lady mentioned there. I mean, it's unconscionable that this would even be considered. I listened to the band. The first 12 years we lived there, I learned Avid like the back of my hand from listening to those guys march at 7 in the morning and aim right at my house. You know, it's incredible. But whatever, you know, I bought the house there. This is different. You know, this is putting something in that, you know, we got no part of this. This is after the fact kind of thing. If you're a golfer, you go to Black Gold. Those light poles that are behind the driving range, they're lighting everything up. Those are 80 feet tall. It's the same lights we're talking about here. But it was interesting in the, you know, in the letter that you sent out, you talked about kids having to go off campus to practice. Well, in 2000, and I went to the Department of Education. In 2007, 2008, El Dorado had 2,600 kids. Yorba Linda High School opened in 2009, I believe. It declined every year then until 2016 when it got to 1,800 students at El Dorado. Right now it's 74% of the peak student population that it was this year. It's 672 less students than the peak time. There's plenty of field time for these kids to practice. We do not need permanent lights back there, disrupting our neighborhood and severely impacting our property values, candidly. That's going to be a major, major issue as far as I'm concerned. And then, you know, the last thing that, you know, I thought on this thing was, you know, to me, you guys are looking for a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. And we're looking about spending taxpayer dollars that don't need to be spent. You can direct them somewhere else. We don't need to spend the money on this problem that's going to just totally disrupt our lives. So, that's all I got.
Paul?
Okay, good evening. I wanted to express that I oppose the lighting project at El Dorado High School. The EIR documents the negative impacts on the neighborhood, and there's lots to say about it, and I'll try to make this brief and want to address the board directly. And this is the first school board meeting that I've attended. You know, like many parents, I became concerned and engaged over the COVID issues, and I've listened to some past meetings online. I wanted to remind you of one of the school board meetings at you had a debate sometime in the last year or two, and for some reason you were drafting some type of official motion or language, and we're debating a description of our government, and specifically the words democracy and republic. And I want to remember that this discussion in the context of this project decision. In a republic, the rule of law is a higher authority than the will of the majority at any given time. Rules such as the Placentia Noise Ordinance are there to protect this minority of homeowners from being abused by the majority, who will not experience the negative impacts caused by the project. The EIR documents that the noise is already excessive at the property line, and this project will only increase the duration of noise. I ask that you listen to what the neighborhood is saying. Be respectful of the neighbors' enjoyment of their homes and their children's homework and sleep schedules. Finally, this project is a poor use of the district's resources due to its location near the residences. The nighttime use of this field will be in constant conflict with the neighboring residences and the city noise ordinance, limiting the usefulness and benefits of this project. And I ask that this project not proceed. And finally, you know, a few other issues. I know somebody had touched on the solar issue and the shading. That was not covered in the EIR. And, you know, I want to ask also the history of the EIRs done for the high school. I know that the track was formerly a grass field surrounded by a dirt track. And then it progressed into this synthetic turf field, which is a magnet for, all the sports teams in the area. And, I don't know if the EIR process was done at that time or for the existing, baseline case that is included in the EIR. So there's a lot of problems with the EIR, and I plan to follow up with some more written comments. But, I hope you consider the neighbors and their issues. And, again, I think, the goal of this district should be cooperation and not conflict. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Cole Barner, and I've been a resident on Brower Avenue directly behind the field now for 28 years. And I can say without reservation that particularly the noise pollution is going to be highly detrimental to the neighborhood. The high school already doesn't follow the noise ordinance regulations, as have been brought up by several other people. Students out on the field prior to 7 a.m. already making noise. Coaches not, students yelling loudly during middle of the day. People bringing in portable PA systems for their events. So there really isn't any trust there. And I don't see how. I think the noise pollution will be even worse than it is described in the document, because after events, people have a tendency to loiter around till maybe 11 to midnight and will continue to make noise. So I just don't really see this. I don't see I don't see the school being able to enforce the noise ordinance that's even in the proposal. And I'd also like to point out that the neighborhood and the school literally developed at almost the same time. And I don't see, and at least the neighborhood should have at least equal rights to the school, but I don't see that in this proposal at all. This is everything in the proposal will be negative to the neighborhood and will destroy property values, as well as people's ability to, especially with children, to get the proper rest for their kids. That's all I'd like to say. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, folks. That gives us a lot to consider. So thank you for sharing. Okay, at this point, we're going to move on. I'm going to go ahead and close the comments, the public hearing at 19:17. All right. Now, moving on, we're going to go to our next section where we have our student board report. Mr. Preston Bang, if you would.
Good evening, President Youngblood, trustees, Superintendent Dr. Chernus, and executive cabinet members. I'm honored to be here tonight to share recent happenings from our comprehensive high schools and alternative campuses. At Buena Vista Virtual Academy, received news from the WASC WASC Accredited Commission that the school earned a 6-year accreditation with a mid-cycle report only. Buena Vista Virtual Academy is super excited that the visitation committee saw all the wonderful opportunities that the school has to offer to students. At El Camino Real High School prom will be held on May 26th at the Orange County Mining Company. To celebrate Mental Health Awareness Month, students are given positive shout-outs during the announcements from staff members and other students. Before the rain, they were welcomed with positive chalk sayings throughout campus. At El Dorado High School, on April 26, 19 students were treated like Hollywood celebrities and rock stars at El Dorado. At lunch, hundreds of Golden Hawks swarmed the red carpet to get photographs and autographs from the MVP students. These 19 kids were given total red carpet treatment and enjoyed every minute. At Esperanza High School, Esperanza just had their prom at Santa Anita Racetrack, and it was a huge success. Over 500 students attended and had a great time with karaoke, carriage rides, photo booths, and dancing. Esperanza is still taking signups for the Esperanza Youth Summer Camp taking place this summer from July 10th to July 14th. The Aztecs are excited to show the youth in the community their campus and have them experience life at Esperanza. At George Key School and Venture Academy, George Key students and friends enjoyed their annual jogathon and carnival on April 28th. Venture Academy students helped by cheering, pushing, and rolling students around the course. The Placentia Fire Department showed up to join the school and get in on the fun. Key and Venture students participated in carnival games, face painting, and pizza for all. On May 19 from 5 to 8:30 p.m., Venture Academy and George Key will host a dinner and dance for students at the Professional Development Academy. The theme is Spring Fling. It is sure to be a fun evening of celebration and dancing for students and staff. At Valencia High School, the Future Business Leaders of America (FBLA) at the state conference, 4 of 6 Valencia FBLA teams qualified for the national competition. These teams specialized in digital video productions, data analysis, graphic design, and publication design. Also, the Valencia High School drumline has advanced to the Southern California Championships for the first time in 12 years. Only the top 12 schools in Southern California have the honor of competing in the championship round of competition. At Yorba Linda High School, last month, Yorba Linda High School was honored to be one of four high schools in Orange County to participate in the Every 15 Minutes program. For decades, this program has existed in high schools throughout the nation in order to display the severe dangers and consequences that come along with driving under the influence or driving distracted. Also, the Mustangs are looking forward to their prom with the theme of Old Hollywood. This concludes my report.
Awesome. Preston, real quick, what has been your most memorable academic experience in Placentia-Yorba Linda Unified School District, and why?
So at Valencia, I'm part of the IB program as well. And for the IB program, really the steepest hill to climb is this 4,000-word research paper that kids have to spend a year and a half working on, collecting research and putting it all together. But for a lot of kids, that's really like an awful experience. But for me, I wrote my research paper on how American comic books and Japanese comic books written during World War II reflect the effects of the war on adolescence. And so I was reading Captain America and Superman as like my research, and really diving deep into like how those graphic novel techniques really reflect like how the war kind of motivates like that patriotism in kids, or kind of shows like the detriment that it has on like the lives of adolescents like me, who would really pick up an issue of the comic if I lived during that time. So yeah.
Well, that sounds like a fun project. I wouldn't mind reading a bunch of comic books and doing a paper on it, but that's awesome. Okay, thank you. All right, our next portion is our superintendent's report. So, Dr. Alex Chernis.
Thank you. Good evening, President Youngblood, trustees, executive cabinet members. First off, Preston, I want to congratulate you on being accepted and going to UCLA, being a future Bruin. Congratulations. And if you thought we were done honoring students, not quite yet. I'm happy to share with everyone the Orange County Artist of the Year is Magdalena Aparicio. And while she couldn't join us tonight, she was recently honored from the Orange County Register. And so Yorba Linda High School senior Magdalena Aparicio was named a 2023 Artist of the Year in the category of Film and Television. Magdalena received this recognition alongside 6 other Artists of the Year from various Orange County high schools in categories of dance, theater, instrumental music, vocal music, fine arts, and media arts. And before signing up for Yorba Linda's video production class, she said she had not even an ounce of film experience. So fast forward today, and Magdalena wrote and directed the film that won Best Music Video at the Orange County Film Festival 2 times. So all of Yorba Linda, all of our district, we're all proud of Magdalena's accomplishments, especially her video production teacher, Mr. Richard Cadre. So let's give her a big hand. So Teacher and Classified Staff Appreciation Week is this week. And so at our April board meeting, trustees adopted resolutions to designate the week of May 8th through 14th as California Week of the Teacher, and the week of May 21st through 27th as Classified Schools Employee Week. So across the district, we encourage students, staff, and families to show their gratitude for the many wonderful educators supporting staff across our campuses. And after all, it is the commitment to success of our students that truly gives our district the PYLUSD advantage. And I saw it firsthand last week. I know it's only week 2. It feels like maybe week 10. But I got to 8 campuses, 2 high schools, 2 of our middle schools, 4 elementary schools, and just seeing the quality of instruction and the commitment of our teachers. It's a great honor to recognize them this week. Community honoree ceremony and student recognition ceremony. And looking ahead on May 22nd, we look forward to hosting dozens of volunteers and students from each of our schools for our annual community honoree and student recognition ceremonies. Every year, we ask each of our school sites to identify a community honoree who has dedicated their time and energy to benefit students while exemplifying the district's core values of excellence, integrity, collaboration, and innovation. At our student recognition ceremony, we'll recognize various groups such as CIF champions, academic decathlon winners, Avid standout seniors, and National Merit Scholars, just to name a few. The events will take place back-to-back at the Performing Arts Center. The Reach Foundation's middle school track meet is coming up. It's this week, May 11th. I plan on going. I can't wait. Hopefully I'll see you guys there. Our partners at the Reach Foundation will host their annual middle school track meet in Nathan Chappelle Memorial Stadium at Yorba Linda High School. Student athletes from our middle schools will compete against each other in events like high jump, long distance running, long jump, sprints, and more. The track meet will mark the 4th and final event of the district's expanded middle school intramural sports program that began last year. Students competed in volleyball, cross country, and basketball throughout the year, and the culminating event is this Thursday's track meet. So we hope to see you there, and special thanks to the Reach Foundation. End of year celebrations, finally. With summer break just around the corner, our schools' calendars are full of exciting end-of-the-year activities. This includes carnivals, final presentations, big performances, dances, and the 2 biggest events of them all, the middle school promotion and high school graduation ceremonies. I look forward to seeing our graduation and promotion ceremonies and all the excitement that the last weeks of school has to offer. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. All right, folks, our next portion will be public comment. Public comment is an opportunity for the public to provide input to the Board of Education. During the public comment period, board members do not dialogue with the speakers or make comments regarding the information shared. We have 17 people wishing to speak tonight. Each speaker will be given, I'm gonna keep it with 2 minutes. I already had 2 minutes written. So we'll go with 2 minutes. And as you go up to the podium, please repeat your name. And I'm gonna go ahead and call up the first 4 speakers. So Ms. Sue Sawyer, will you come up? Andy Falco, Heidi Cesanero, thank you. And Linda Mannion. Sue, you're first. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, board. My name is Sue Sawyer. I teach at Esperanza High School. I have questions, so I try to use this as a place to get questions, but I don't know how we get the questions answered when the board meeting is over, and I completely respect that we can't dialogue. So I would like some clarification somehow about how we get responses to that. One was about the potential calendar change that came in one of the board meetings. We've had a lot in April, and there were some discussions about that. But I just wanted the board to know that Hope University works with 62 districts in Southern California, and ours is the only one on a different calendar from all 62 that they work with. So please consider that because of the impact that it has on kids and sports programs and transportation, even financially when games are before our school year starts. Second, prior to a book being approved for piloting, currently, a teacher, a subject matter expert, must fill out an extensive questionnaire about a book they want piloted. They must say what lessons they would teach and how it connects to the California state standards. And I could be totally wrong because I'm not quite sure of the total process. I believe it then goes to Ed Services for review to see if all questions have been answered thoroughly, and then it goes to a lit review. Then it's voted on. If a new process is voted in by the board, which we've heard some rumor of, that the board would approve any books for piloting, who would be the subject matter experts in that first determination for the books? And who will then connect them during this process before it even goes to pilot for continuity to California state standards? Another question about charter schools is, how will the board ensure that charter schools approved by the district, if that were to happen in the future, are committed to admitting and supporting student populations that reflect the district's demographic makeup?
Thank you, Ms. Arya.
My name is Andy Falco. I have two subjects. One of them is for over 3 years I've been investigating the teachers' unions between the CTA, the NEA, and the APLE. And essentially, as we've learned over these years, is they've been a source of much of the problems that we've had in the schools with, whether it was the masking or CRT, SEL, DEI, arguments that we've had here in the school board and the school district that have been propagated by these cabals. And my question is that we have the leadership of APLE that is listed as a teacher. Linda Mannion is a teacher that's getting paid $160,000 a year by the PYLUSD, but she's a representative of the teachers union. I don't understand why we are spending that amount of money on somebody who's not a teacher, but yet calling her a teacher. So that doesn't make any sense to me, so I want to make sure and bring that up. The other thing is we have some serious problems in the schools, and particularly El Dorado, with narcotics use in the bathrooms and on the breaks at school, and children having sex in the bathrooms. These are things. I have 3 children, 2 children in El Dorado and 1 that's going to be entering El Dorado. And my son plays on lacrosse. They're cheerleaders. We have a large number of children at our home where these stories are shared constantly. And we are doing something wrong where we're allowing kids to leave their classrooms to go to the bathroom on a continuous basis. The same children seem to have to go pee during 3rd period or 4th period every day to smoke narcotics or to have sex. And these things are actually happening. I don't know what else we can do or what we need to do. One of the things I thought about is maybe having parents, some type of parents brigade that may volunteer to show up and be in the school during the period of time that school is in session to monitor the traffic of the children leaving the classrooms and going to the bathrooms. There's got to be something we could do because this is an ongoing problem and it's been going on for several years. Thank you.
Heidi?
Evening, esteemed leaders and guests. My name is Heidi Cisneros, and I'm a resident of Placentia, and I have 2 children who have grown up in the district, and I'm a super fan. I love this district. I can see how it's impacted the lives of my children and how far and how much they've thrived because of the great support they've had in this district. I recently heard a few rumors that perhaps there's consideration of charter schools, and as an educator who's been in this field for over 30 years, I thought I'd just share a couple highlights of those experiences. One of the things I want to say is that I'm not against charter schools. However, they have a place in certain communities where they're truly beneficial. This is not one of those communities. Charter schools are needed when there are limited educational options, when there are limited specialized programs. In this district, we have almost every program I could ever wish for that could be provided from a charter school. We have technology, we have arts, we have IB, we have the most successful IB and Avid programs in the county. And as a district as a whole, we're in the top 3 in so many categories. When you bring in a charter school, what can they offer that we don't already provide? And by bringing in a charter school, we're saying that we don't believe in what we're providing here in our district. It's, for example, I'm a visual person. Does Starbucks have a kiosk in front selling coffee? Another form of coffee? No. We are the best district. We have so much here. This is a thriving community because the district is the foundation, the bedrock of all that we are in this community. Excuse me. Like I said, I'm a super fan. And so we want to show that we have faith in what's been done here in the school district, and we want to keep that going. The other thing is it's a financial issue. Those charter schools will take enrollment, will take funding, and that will impact the thousands of students. Avid programs like we saw celebrated tonight and other programs will be reduced because of that financial impact. We don't want enrollment to be reduced. We
Please
want
wrap
it
it
to
up.
increase because you are the best. So thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm Linda Mannion. Good evening. On behalf of the Association of Placentia-Linda Educators, I'd like to welcome Dr. Chernas to our district. We're glad to have you. And I want to extend my sincere appreciation for your visits to our schools and our classrooms. Right away, you got out there and got in our classrooms, and we appreciate that. I love the letters that you've written and congratulated our teachers, your letters of welcome to our teachers and staff. You've recognized and honored their dedication and commitment to being a dynamic and supportive learning community that prepares each and every student for success now and in the future. You have joined a long line of outstanding superintendents who have inspired us all with their vision of the PYL advantage and made Placentia-Yorba Linda a district that others aspire to. Welcome. This is Teacher Appreciation Week, and because of that, it is also my honor to thank and recognize our amazing educators. It is often stated that educating our students is the most rewarding of all professions. A doctor is allowed to usher life into the world in one magic moment. Educators are allowed to see that life is reborn each day with new questions, ideas, and friendships. Educators, architects are known that if he builds his house with care, his structure may stand forever. Teachers know that if they build with love and truth and teach, what they create will last forever. Malala Yousafzai, a young Pakistani education activist and the youngest person to ever receive the Nobel Peace Prize, spoke these inspirational words to the United Nations on her 16th birthday. She said, "One child, one teacher, one book, and one pen can change the world." Thank you, Placentia-Yorba Linda educators. You are changing the world. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next 4 speakers, Judy Reese, Marissa Mulroy, Shani Murray, and Sarah Phillips.
Short too. So I knew that lower. Welcome, Dr. Chernas. I am a member of the community, but I'm also one of the teachers here at PYL USD, teach kindergarten at Glen Knoll. And I thought maybe I'd be the only one talking about charter schools, so thank you for that nice introduction on charter schools. I got some information from the law offices that propose these charters on our campuses, that will actually be on our campuses. And I felt like I fell into Alice's rabbit hole as I started to try and investigate this. Like, what does an in lieu agreement mean? Apparently it means in place of, so it doesn't really mean anything. What is Proposition 39? Well, what I could find at least said that you have to provide the same facilities, but not on our facilities. So we don't have to share our campuses with a charter school. I frankly can't see, as a teacher at a school, how that can even begin to work. How do you share libraries? How do you share computer labs? How do you share fields? How do you share lunchrooms? How does that work? I feel like as I started to investigate this more and more, I was just left with more and more and more questions. I really hope that our board is not considering bringing charter schools, hopefully not into our district, because as you said, we offer everything here and we are excellent schools. And we don't need charter schools to meet the needs of our students. But in addition to that, to think that you would bring them on the campuses with teachers here, with our students, is insulting to teachers. And I'm also going to add that our Apple Union doesn't have anything to do with all of those nasty things that our friend referred to earlier.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Marissa Mallory. My kids' time in PYL is almost up. My daughter graduates in June. 7 years at the high schools here. We chose to put our son into a private high school after the constant battles that seem to be occurring every day for basic services in this district. Just 2 weeks ago, or not even 2 weeks ago, Valencia decided to host their senior distinguished scholar night the same night as all of the spring league prelims, league finals. Kids who lost their spring season were sent home during COVID, March 13th, 2020, had to choose between celebrating their academics or celebrating their athletics. And I was told by Mr. Louie that it was the district's fault because the district's the one who schedules the calendar and schedules the facilities at Valencia High School. So then I started wondering about all this chaos and watched the uproar and the misinformation about the charter schools. And I began to wonder why people aren't looking at why these charter schools want to come into PYL, what they and why parents might want them here. What are those charter schools offering that PYL isn't? And how could PYL take that, merge it with what they do well, and create a conversion charter, their own charter school here with their own teachers? It is possible. I'm a 23-year charter school teacher at a conversion charter here in Orange County. And it's amazing. The teachers, when they became a charter, decided, first of all, they're all union, OUEA and all of that. They decided to retain their union membership, and when they became a charter, they decided to keep the ability to rejoin the district if they wanted to. I was hired after the charter began, so I didn't have that. But there's other opportunities out there. Instead of just saying no charter, we need to investigate the other opportunities. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Shani Murray. Last month, I heard rumors about Orange County Classical Academy coming to PYL, so I emailed the board. Eventually, Sean Youngblood responded and said, quote, "We will be provided a presentation by OCCA in the May 9th meeting for the board to make informed decisions," unquote. Then I saw a copy of the OCCA proposal, which someone obtained through a public records request, and then I read a related article in the Orange County Register. I was concerned, so I created a petition asking the board to prioritize PYL students and keep us, the community, informed about the potential takeover of school facilities by a charter program. More than 1,000 community members share my concern. Last Thursday, Sean backtracked and said in an email that there would not be a presentation tonight, but that, quote, "more than likely the board will consider information they receive in the June board meeting," unquote. So on behalf of everyone who signed my petition, I'm asking for full transparency related to any charter program and for the board to prioritize the needs of our students and schools. Thank you. And if the board's interested, here's the petition, and you can scan the QR code to go to the actual petition. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sarah Phillips, the teacher librarian at Yorba Linda High School. I'll start off with mentioning this is Asian American and Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander Heritage Month. I appreciate the district's continued shout out to that on the website. The monthly displays are up in the library and on the library's website, and pictures were posted on the YLHS Facebook page last week. Dr. Chernus, I welcome you to the district. It's my 16th year working in PYLUSD, first at Esperanza and now at Yorba Linda High School. This is a large and diverse school district in a multitude of ways, and I hope that you'll seek out the diverse stakeholder voices as you make decisions for our district. In my position, I manage the Chromebooks for the school. I manage the textbooks for the school, and of course everything about the library. So if you ever want to talk about books or information or digital literacy, resource management, me and the other librarians are always ready for a conversation. And I just want to give a shout out. We announced at YLHS our valedictorian and our co-salutatorians today, and Camille Kong, Tiana Salisbury, and Selena Fang, awesome girls. I applaud them.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next four speakers, Vanessa Jones, Megan Waskell, hope I said that right, I'm sorry, Randy Sims, and Julie Klickenberg. Ms. Jones, if we could have you go first.
Hello, everybody. My name is Vanessa Jones. My son is a student in the district, and like some of the other comments, mine is in regards to the charter schools. I read the article that came out in the Orange County Register, and it was dated at the end of April and then updated on May 1st. My concern has more to do with what appears to be a very rushed process than anything to do with a charter school per se. I don't know enough at this point whether or not a charter school is a good thing or a bad thing in this district, but I do know that anything involving education must not be rushed. It must be well thought, it must be designed properly. I am an educator myself, and I have gone through this process, curriculum development, and I know what it's like, and I know that anytime you change any aspect, lots of things need to be considered because there could be a domino effect. What I am asking is that if, in fact, this is something the district is considering, that they share and be transparent with the full community. Let us know what you are thinking. And please, 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 do not rush this. This is not something that should be done in haste and without lots of thoughtfulness. Thank you.
Good evening to the members of the board. Welcome, Dr. Chernus. I actually was originally here to speak in favor or in support. I'm grateful that we have student-teacher agreements still with Cal Poly Pomona and Hope International. I was hoping that these might be new agreements to replace the number of student teachers that were pulled from the district as a result of the agreement in October. I see that there are renewals and that the Hope International University renewal is, I guess, on the agenda for approval today, but doesn't start until July 1st of 2024, which seems unusual. But I just wanted to note, I hope we're still moving towards backfilling those student teacher positions. Student teachers are an important support to our teachers and students in the classroom, as well as an important source of recruitment for future teachers into the district, as well as screening. And there is a national teacher shortage, as well as a shortage of both teachers and staff in the state of California. I also wanted to make a quick comment on the addition to the minutes of the statement, students and parents/guardians can request the directory information or personal information of the student or parent guardian as defined in Education Code 49061 and or 49073.2 be excluded from the minutes. The request must be made in writing to the secretary or clerk of the board. This is a new addition to the agenda, just for anyone who has given public comment before, so that you're aware. And if you've given public comment and want something, I guess, to change about the notice, on future public comment, that you make your request in writing to the board. And lastly, I agree about the charter school statements that have been made. I sat through the LCAP meeting for 4 hours. We talked about performance, and I have not been able to find any reliable performance data on the school that is planning to come to USD. Or, yeah. Thank you.
Ms. Sims?
Thank you for your time. My name's Randy Sims, and I'm speaking as a concerned parent this evening. I have 3 children. One already graduated from El Dorado, and I have 2 young children in 3rd and 4th grade who go to school in our district. And it's with a really sad heart that I stand here to talk about the spike in hate comments and hate speech that goes on in schools. Last week, a 4th grader at my kid's school was called the most vile, violent, degrading name that you can call an African American. And it does not belong. 2023, it doesn't belong. And we cannot accept it. Every single person in this room should be angry. I'm angry. I'm shocked. I'm shocked that majority of our board doesn't think racism is an issue. It's an issue. Last year, my son was told that because you're black, you should be picking cotton in the fields. Don't say that racism isn't an issue. I'm embarrassed that you say that. I'm hurt that you say that. It's not okay. And it's not okay that in our schools we're not addressing this. I want my kids to be actively taught to be anti-racist. I want them taught to be anti-sexist. I want them to be taught to be anti-homophobic. I'm angry. I'm sad. I'm hurt.
Thank you,
I've
Ms.
been
Sims.
affiliated with this district 22 years,
Thank you, Ms. Sims.
not only as a parent.
I respectfully ask you not to start the timer for a second, please. I have to collect myself. Is that you? Okay, wait just a second. Okay, thanks. Julie Klinkenberg. Our nation in the United States of America in 2023 is a messy, beautiful, multicultural, rich tapestry of beliefs, traditions, and ways of life. It is the job of our public school system to celebrate that and prepare our TK through 12th graders for the bigger, wider, deeper, even more complicated world they're going to receive post-grad. So I stand here continuing to speak again on behalf of the marginalized students who do not feel celebrated, seen, or heard. And many of them are the quote low test scores that I've heard trustees complain about. Do you know that there is a direct correlation, a research-based answer to that? Dr. John Hattie's work suggests the #1 performance indicator, in other words, the best bang for our buck to influence student achievement is student-teacher relationships. I brought 3 years of board member, or what do I do here? Board meeting posters, like one from 2020. Shout out to the former, the previous board, Notice, Needed, and Nurtured. That campaign, I mean, they tried, but there are still some friends that don't feel noticed, needed, and nurtured, and it's our job to stand up for them. This also includes adopting curriculum that is fair, accurate, inclusive, and respectful. And in honor of, that gal really choked me up.
in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, Maslow before Bloom. Our basic needs, physiological safety, belonging, and love must be met before we can perform well academically. So, school board, please stay in the majority of the school board. Please stay in your lane. You'll remember this, our circle. You guys stay in your lane. Let the qualified, highly qualified educators in this room do their job. They are well trained. They are super equipped to focus on the why. And speaking of highly qualified educators,
Thank you, ma'am. Our next four speakers, Robert Hammond, Ben S., Stephanie D., and Kristen.
President Youngblood, members of the board, Mr. Superintendent, congratulations on being appointed. My name is Robert Hammond. I happen to be the current president of the board for I-9 Youth Sports. We're a nonprofit youth sports organization trying to focus on getting kids ages 3 to 15 to hopefully get off the sofa and off of watching TV and be exposed to things like flag football, cheer, soccer, basketball, t-ball, and now tennis. We've been operating for a little over 10 years, and our first season was with this school district. I'm also a former special ed teacher and varsity coach and a former Marine. Over the last 10 years, we've dealt with many different school districts and other organizations to offer a one-day-week program. And the reason I'm coming before this honorable board, and I was here 2 months before that, is now this time to talk about the maintenance and facilities department of this school district run by Mr. Brad Runge, unsung heroes, and also the grounds department, which is managed by Mr. Mario Sandoval. These guys, along with the people that work directly underneath them, keep the grass fields in the most consistent and amazing fashion that we play on, and they actually help to bless our kids. The crews, they keep doing an outstanding job regardless of the weather. And we've had some of the most freaky weather over the last few months. At times I was looking for a guy named Noah building an ark. And this allows us to keep focusing on children and to, in essence, help serve the kids and the families of our community. All the people working in the maintenance and facilities plus the grounds department, they represent this school district really in the highest manner. Like I said, they truly are the unsung heroes, at least as far as we're concerned. And we at I-9 Sports wanted to say thank you very much for helping us to help the children, and I don't know, maybe they could get a pay raise. So thank you guys very much. And I just wanted to say, I dropped off 4 signed letters. I want to make sure that the superintendent, I know you got one, I want to make sure the board got, but I also want to make sure that Mr. Runge and Mr. Sandoval got a copy of that letter as well. So thank you guys.
Thank you, sir. Ben?
Good evening, honorable board and members of the community. Welcome, Dr. Chernis, to the community. We're happy to have you here. I just want to recognize real quick the students that are in the drama department at Esperanza. My daughter and I went over to see their production of Into the Woods on Wednesday last month, and it was nothing short of fantastic. All those students, any parents that are watching here or online, you should be very proud. The students did a great job. And also a shout out to Trustee Blades for getting the ball rolling and getting that theater into action, because before it was defunct and now it's fully functional. They got a sound guy, they got full lights, the sound is amazing on there. They got wireless microphones. It was top notch. So really proud to have attended that. On a side note, in regards to the meeting that was held on a Friday regarding some personnel decision that had to be made, I just want to check ourselves in the community and even myself for those of us that when we get maybe emotional or we get kind of we get kind of moved off the mark, and we get maybe upset that maybe some members aren't here to vote on a particular thing. But I was disappointed to see that people were, just pointing fingers, making accusations to 3 of the board members that they were going to do something that they absolutely were not going to do. So making some arbitrary decision. So I know what it's like feeling like the board is acting in an arbitrary manner, but that just wasn't the case at all. If you just look at the minutes, that's not what happened at all. So like I said, this is a message even for myself. I thought that there was an arbitrary decision being made by a board member, President Buck at the time, when she canceled a meeting 2 minutes into it, and then the next meeting 2 minutes into it, when all us parents wanted to get our kids back in school, get our kids masks, off. My daughter was kicked out for having a mask, not an approved mask, so that was frustrating. Still frustrated about that, but
thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My name is Stephanie. Dr. Chernus, thank you for accepting the opportunity to come work with our district. Like you, many of our parents had loud voices when it came to getting our kids back on campus. We recognize that not only did children need community, but that they learn best when interacting with others. So let me speak on behalf of those parents and thanking you for seeing the value in getting our kids out of isolation. My student is thriving on campus at El Dorado. He just wrapped up AP testing with some of the best teachers, and his volleyball team is going to CIF finals this Saturday. He has prom and finals still to come, on-campus opportunities that his sister did not get to have during her junior year. So I am so thankful. And now that they are back in class, it's time to get everything else out of their classroom. We do not want religious schools for our children. We do not want progressive schools for our children. We want educationally rich schools. America is a welcoming land of opportunity, but we are also a country built on the excellence of the generations before us. It's time to ensure that the PYL students all have an opportunity for excellence, and we invite you to join us in that goal. Thank you.
Kristen.
Welcome, Dr. Chernus. I wanted to say thank you to the board for the crossing guard at Brookhaven. I remember when my kids were there in elementary school, we were told that they couldn't afford a crossing guard. So thank you for that, and thank you for the fan at Eldo. The gym would be much cooler if they would actually turn it on. But thank you for at least getting it. Hopefully they'll turn it on. I was an athlete at El Dorado High School. I remember in the mornings when we were on the field, the Evans blaring their music to counteract the band's noise. It has always been an issue. The houses around there have not liked having the field there. I currently live behind Teffrey. I chose to buy my house next to a school. That's a choice we make. I chose to accept the noise that comes with that. We have lights at Teffrey, and practices go till 10 p.m. when the lights shut off. My kids go to El Dorado. They are both athletes. They're both winter athletes. When our soccer games get cut short because the sun is going down, our practices get canceled because of the rain. We are able to practice on the turf. However, there are not sufficient lights on the turf. There's Strikers has some lights that they have purchased for use there, but there's dark spots on the field and it's dangerous. So when it rains, our practices get canceled. Only varsity gets to practice. So we went weeks on end this year and last year. This year we had more rain, but last year we had multiple practices canceled, not just on rainy days, but days after when the grass is wet. We are not allowed to use that grass. We need those lights. Every other school in our district has houses around those schools, and they all have accepted that they chose to buy a house next to those lights. Black Gold, somebody mentioned, those houses are valued higher than our houses are. Somebody mentioned the houses, the noise going till 12 midnight. That's not going to happen, and you guys know that. The lights turn off at a certain hour. Practices end, games end at a certain hour, and it's mostly winter when we don't have the daylight hours. Let's see, the noise, yeah. So, and for the lady that doesn't know how to get answers, email the board. They answer all the time.
Thank you, ma'am. I have one more speaker, Darwin, what's it, Houghton? Yeah. Give me the correct one when you get up there.
Not a good speaker, so we starting time now. I've never been prompt on tardiness, especially graduating from this school district. My kids have both been here. Don't mean to follow the lady that just came. My issue is basically the lights. I'm assuming since this is the 4th meeting I'm having on this, either at El Dorado or here, that you've dotted all your T's and crossed all your I's and you're pretty much ready to go. So I'm going to give you kind of what I see on it, and that is basically it's all bull. My kid was in band and color guard. I appreciate all the work that you do for him. I hear that metronome at 7 o'clock in the morning. My kid used to play to it. I used to take my kid to Valencia High School. My kid played soccer at El Dorado High School. Did stuff over there and practice on that. As far as the winter sports and the lights and all that sort of stuff goes, I don't mind where my tax dollars go as far as this. I'm going to have to make it quick. As far as my tax dollars go, if it goes to supporting the youth here and it's for public stuff or whatever, that's one thing. But the lights are on past 8 o'clock. Without a doubt, I will call you personally. You can come to my house and see when the lights are on after 8. Or I'd like somebody's number to call, if it'd be the police department or something, when those lights don't go off at 8. I know you're talking about going past. That's unacceptable. The only people that use those lights, I'll be honest with you, is a for-profit club soccer team. I've never seen the football team, soccer team, the band and all that stuff. When's that? I'm sorry. Well, so they can run soccer, but the band can't march or whatever under the same lights, I guess is what she's saying, which is a bunch of bull. So my thing is, I live right there. And you do go past 8 o'clock. So I would like somebody's number to call. If nobody's going to be enforcing it, nobody's going to be locking that gates, get them off at 8 o'clock. But
Thank
now
you,
it's till
sir.
10.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. At this point, we're going to go ahead and release our student board member, Preston. We know he's got some studying to do. He's got testing coming up. So thank you, sir, for being here tonight. And good luck on your tests. We know you'll do well. See you, buddy. All right, that brings us to our next section. It's going to be communication and board report.
Up already.
You okay? You ready?
I am ready.
Here we go.
Well, I didn't make a ton of notes. I'll just highlight a few of the things that I've been out doing. And I've barely made it even into any classrooms. It's been a heck of a busy month. We all were at the LCAP meeting and had a great meeting there. So I just wanted to highlight that. I went to the Yorba High School Distinguished Scholar with President Youngblood and got to see all the fabulous kids and what they're doing in each of the grade levels. That's always fun to go do. Into the Woods was mentioned at Esperanza High School. I attended that as well. It was fantastic. The lighting in there. I had never seen that show before, and I didn't actually know what to expect when I walked in there. But it was a really nice evening. Last Friday, I attended a meeting with a number of other school board members around the county and other California School Board Association delegates, meeting with California Senator Josh Newman, who's the chair of the Education Committee. So we got to listen a little bit to what he is doing in his new role and how we can work together. I attended the PTA installation dinner with Mrs. Anderson and got to meet some of our new PTA council members that are going to be leading for the next year. I attended online the California Child Nutrition Advisory Council meeting. We had our quarterly meeting, and we're continuing to work through our action items. The one that I'm working on is breakfast after the bell and strategies to providing a white paper and strategies that school districts can use to utilize breakfast beyond the bell to make sure we get as many students as we can fed. So I'll keep you posted on that when we finalize and bring that to you. I attended the ED Law capstone presentation, which was wonderful. They talked about what the students did. They created this project, and it's called, it works for them. They're struggling with community outreach and community service, and how do they get their 40 hours of community service by the end of their senior year. And so they developed this program called InReach. It includes a website and an event that they're hoping to do at the end of this year as we move into summer to give the students some ideas of where they can go and volunteer. They want to invite nonprofits that are in the community so that they can have that one-on-one contact with them and inspire some of the kids to go work with in some of those nonprofits. It really was a unique idea. We do struggle, as somebody who runs a nonprofit, we struggle with how do we work together with volunteers where it's benefiting them and also benefiting us at the same time. And when you get lots of students that call, especially toward the end of the year, how do you help them? And how does that help the people that we're working with in our nonprofit? So I thought it was a great presentation and more to think about, and even if this can be replicated in other schools, because all kids are struggling with that community service hours. And then lastly, I'll just mention, we heard a little bit about it today. I attended the special arts weekend at Main Place, where they highlight and focus on students with disabilities, and there's art around, and I got to see the Venture Academy sing in person, which was fantastic. They blew the doors off the house. It was really wonderful, and it was nice to see their parents there who were cheering them on, and all of the other students. It was really a wonderful day. And their theme song of the Wildcats from High School Musical, because they are the Venture Wildcats. It was really a wonderful, wonderful day. I got to take my dad to that with me, and he's a past special educator, so that was special for us to do together. And that wraps up my comments. So thank you.
Thanks. Before I begin my normal report, I'd like to address a few things because April was a very busy month for our board and several things happened, and I just would like to make a few comments about that. I think I'm going to skip this comment, but I'd like to go to this one. I would like to ask President Youngblood to be respectful to all board members' schedules when calling special board meetings. In April, there were 4 special board meetings called, and never was I asked if I could be there or attend. In some cases, the board meetings agendas were posted before I could even respond if I could be there or not. How does the president even know if he's going to have a quorum without first polling the board? For special board meetings, every effort should be made to accommodate all board members' schedule, just like in the past with previous presidents. In the past, the protocol was always Mrs. Newton would send out possible dates and times to assess if board could attend. In several cases, many versions were sent out until a date and time could be agreed upon between all board members. I'm just asking for the same courtesy that was offered in the past. And to help assist you, I have printed out my unavailability schedule for the next 2 months. So you know when I'm available and I'm not. Those are definite can't be there dates. There's lots of other dates that I can mess things around, but those are my drop dead no dates. Also, I guess I am going to say this other part. I want to know what special assignments Dr. Matthews and Dr. Lopez have been assigned to. I asked President Youngblood this question. He said it'd be discussed at a more appropriate time, and I'm wondering when that time is. Their combined monthly salary for these 2 men is over $48,000. And I want to make sure that we are not wasting tax dollars, that we're utilizing these men's skills, knowledge, and talents. And especially since President Youngblood has made it crystal clear that they were not fired. I've even asked this of Dr. Chernus, and he did text me today with some thoughts. and ideas about Dr. Lopez's work, and I'd like to thank him for moving forward on that and utilizing Dr. Lopez. And I will be following up on this. And I just want to, state we are responsible for being good stewards of our money here at PYL, and I want to make sure we're doing that. Now I'll go into my normal things. I attended the Artworks exhibit by Reach Foundation, and one of my favorite projects there was created by Yorba Linda Middle School and Bernardo-Yorba Middle School, and it was 55 hand-created portraits that were delivered to orphans in India. And these portraits were amazing and beautiful. And then another one I really liked was the Funny Bone Project, El Dorado. I love the creative use of skeletons, and it just brought a smile to my face. And I got to see lots of friends there and got to see their children's artwork, and I love running into people I know. I also attended the Adventure Playground grand reopening celebration. This is going to be an amazing opportunity for our community with the water slides, treehouse, splash pads, zip lines, monkey bridge and rope bridge, and the wiffle ball stadium. I did do the zip line. I did not do the water slide, FYI. But I took my young neighbor, and he said it was great, and the water was super warm. I don't know how much I believe about the water being warm. And he gave the park a 10 out of 10 rating. So I also went to the Mason Lodge in Yorba Linda dinner, where they celebrated our middle schools. And April, the Masons celebrate Education Month. And I learned that Masons have always closely associated with public education, and that believe that in order for a civil society to thrive, all children must have access to free public education necessary to grow into conscious, productive citizens. And they provided dinner for all the honorees and their family, and each middle school, 2 students were recognized for their achievement, and a teacher from each middle school. And I love learning more about our students and teachers and the positive impact that they are having, that they have every day with the people they come in contact with. I attended Career Day at Valdez with Mrs. Buck and Mr. Youngblood, and I loved seeing the students interact with the professionals and learning more about their careers. I heard lots of great questions from our students, and I saw many engaged students. And one presentation in particular, they were like focused and taking in everything he had to offer, and asked amazing questions. It was just a really great presentation. I attended the Every 15 Minutes at Yorba Linda High School, and it was my first time witnessing this event, and I got to stand right in the middle of a crowd of students, and I got to hear the students' comments. And I sensed that this experience was extremely impactful, and hopeful that the images, feelings, and messages will impact these students' decisions for many years to come. I, with Mrs. Buck, went to the Ed Law presentation of their program called In Reach, and I loved that they are trying to connect students with volunteers, like she said. And what I really took about it is the students were not just talking about themselves. They were trying to help their fellow students. And I love that they are outreaching, and I hope to hear more from them. I attended a Love and Logic training. Mrs. Buck was there with me at Melrose. We've been running into each other a lot. This presentation was so good, and with real everyday practical tips for parents, and along with stress management for parents and teachers. I walked away with some great tips that my grandchildren are going to get access to this summer when I am there visiting, when my grandson is born and I'm helping out the family. So I was just grateful to be there and learn some new things in my life. I've listened to a couple podcasts in the last month, one on student behavior and student discipline for special education. and it really focused on behavior and manifest destiny and determination. And there's so much to special education, and I'm trying so hard to catch up and to be knowledgeable and to understand the process. And I got a long ways to go. So it's a good thing we have a good executive director. I also listened to the Learner Center Collaborative podcast. It was a conversation with Tom Burton, Superintendent of Princeton City Schools in Ohio. And my big takeaway was changing out my vocabulary from all to each. And, because we're going to address each student's needs and each student's learning style and each child's career opportunities. And I felt inspired, and I'm going to try to change my vocabulary a little and take some of his thoughts on that. I also attended with Mrs. Buck, as she said, the PTA installation and honoree awards, and it's always fun to be with the PTA and celebrate their accomplishment. And I just wanted to pass off my gratitude to the outgoing board for their dedication and service, and I want to wish best of luck to the incoming PTA board. I also attended the Melrose Multicultural Festival with President Youngblood, and wow is all I can say. I walked into the auditorium, or not the auditorium, it's gym, Tynes Gym, and the details from decorations were incredible. The performances were amazing. They had great carnival activities, and it was just so fun to enjoy the students' performances of singing and dancing. And they had 5th grade students there being the MCs, and they were introducing all the acts and guests in English and Spanish, and they just did an outstanding job, and they were very impressive. And then also there was the SOFAR ministry there. Ministry there, they were sharing Korean drumming with the community, and so that was great. I just want to thank, there was tons of volunteers there, the staff, the principal, everybody for making that night a reality for the community, and it was really fun. I also, as you know, participated in the Placentia event, and I just wanted to hit a couple highlights. We had over 600 volunteers volunteering at 33 sites through the city of Placentia. It happened to be Earth Day, and it was kind of interesting to me that we moved 87 tons of mulch all throughout the city at city parks, schools, nonprofit organizations, etc. So we all got a little stronger that day. A couple other highlights: we did 218 homeless kits, 40 plus blankets, and planted over 600 plants. And I could just go on and on and on about what was able to be accomplished that day. And I'd just like to thank all the volunteers for coming out, and the project leaders for their support, and especially our community partners. We wouldn't be able to do that without cooperation from the school district, from the city of Placentia, from our nonprofits. They help make this all come to fruition, and I just am very grateful to all. Also, in ending, I'd like to thank Dr. Rick Lopez. I truly appreciate his service for the last 30 years to this district. My children attended Valencia High School during his tenure at that school. And the most notable interaction we had with him was our son might have been in a little bit of problems. And my husband took on the assignment to go to the school and solve those issues. And he met with Dr. Lopez. And my husband came home, and the first thing he said was, I'm not sure who this, at this time it was Mr. Lopez is, but he goes, he was extremely impressive. And he said he knew our son. He shared personal experiences that are of our son giving service at the school and without being asked, and shared other personal observations. This man took time to recognize each child. And our son was not on student council. He was not, in AP classes. He was just a nice average student. And it was a great interaction. And on my time as school board, he's been, I've loved watching him quietly serve our district with his commitment and kindness. I also like to thank Dr. Matthews for his services last year. He sacrificed and he moved to Orange County to lead our district while we were in transition. And I'm not sure how grateful I am for him pushing through all those board policies, but yet I survived. And I believe because of his persistence, we are in a much better place, that we were able to update a lot of things. And I wish him and Jill all the best in their retirement life, blogging, and other adventures. And so that's the end of my report.
All right. Sticking with the theme of celebration, as we've had lots of celebrations for students and things over today and the last month. It's been interesting to see on our social media account the Week of the Teacher. I don't know if you're familiar with how Instagram stories work, but it was actually a great idea to request teacher basically celebration reports from community members. And if you scroll through the stories right now, there's still a bunch of them that are up. It is just an endless stream of people being grateful for our educators. And it is a great testament to what the great things that we have here at PYLUSD. So I just want to say, if you haven't seen it, check it out. But there are a lot of people that love our teachers, and we have a great district. I was able to attend the Exceptional Educator event. Actually, it was to recognize the teachers in the special education community and student aides that were a part of the special education community here. And the one thing that I found really, really exciting is when you see kids that don't have to choose to be a part of special education, but they do because it makes a difference in their lives, and they're making difference in the lives of the children in the program, is phenomenal. My wife actually, when she was at El Dorado, she was a part of the special education program as an aide, and she said it was one of the most rewarding times that she had through school. So the fact that we have that program and the way that we do this to support our children and make sure that everybody has opportunity to serve where they best fit is just phenomenal. And it was a great event. So many great teachers. It was fun. So that was a phenomenal thing. I got to attend the Orange County Basketball All-Star Game, which I don't know if you've ever attended that before, but it's North County versus South County, and all of our schools comes together. The thing that I found most significant was all of our schools were represented on both the boys and the girls teams between players and coaches. The head coaches of both the girls North team and the boys North team were both PYL coaches. That is a great testament to, again, the programs that we have in this school across the board, whether it's special education, academics, APIB, talking about comic books research. This sounds pretty interesting. I'm interested to read Preston's paper on that. So there are so many great things about this district. That's great. There is, however, something that I seem to be sensing as a theme that I hope with Dr. Chernis at the helm we can address some of the issues in related to accountability. When we say we're going to do a thing, we do the thing. Several of the complaints that we've heard about the lights is mostly because we've said we're going to do a thing and we don't do that thing. I've talked to coaches and principals and teachers that are frustrated because we say we're going to do a thing, but we don't follow up and do that thing. So I want to make sure that we're all put on notice, myself included, that when there's something that the district says that we're going to do, that we hold ourselves accountable, we hold our administration and teachers accountable, we hold our students accountable, because that's the only way we're going to move forward with all of the things happening around us. If we're not holding each other accountable, we can't get better. I know that we can do it, and I wouldn't be here if I didn't believe that. So I just wanted to make that statement to say accountability is something that we need to focus on in this district, and I'm proud to be a part of it. And I look forward to seeing Dr. Chernis take the helm and make sure that happens.
Todd's always a hard act to follow because he's so well spoken. It's like you do podcasts or something. If we're talking about the podcast, I did listen to a Joe Rogan podcast this week, if anybody's interested. I attended Career Day at Valadez, and I thought that that was very, very well done. And there was such a wide variety of careers that they had available to the kids. I think there was, a coroner, fire department. I mean, it was like mortician. There was like so many ends of the spectrum. It was great. We had a great time. Was able to walk through all the classes, walk through some with Carrie, walk through some with Sean. But it was just a great event. And so I really like to thank the principal at Valadez for putting that on. And I would really, really suggest that other middle schools follow suit because it was just such a good day for the kids. Going into some other things, I'm going to be short tonight. But I have had a lot of conversations, and I don't know if we've ever done this, but, being a booster president myself, we kind of aren't, we're doing okay with our sports equipment, but listening to the other boosters as we're sitting there in these meetings, have we ever audited our ASB? And so that's kind of a question that I have because as I sit in all of these booster meetings for football, for, water polo, for swim, it seems that other districts, ASB does not collect the ticket sales for like the football games. The football teams collect their own sales. And so I'm wondering if we did an audit, if we were able to find out, is there a way that our football team can keep their ticket sales? Is there a way that we can just figure out where the money is actually being spent? And if there is a way to do things differently. Because I can tell you as like a booster president and then also too just involved in the other boosters, it is hard to raise money. It's the same people getting money over and over again. I remember being on the boosters at Yorba High School with Julie Klink. It's just same people doing all, doing the work. And so there are just some different angles that people have asked. Why can't the football teams keep their ticket sales? It is all the football families and it's all the football fans that come. It's the football, families doing the work at the snack bar. And so I was just curious if we've ever audited ASB, and if we do, is there a way that we can look at things just to make, can the money go to the sports? Can the money go to the arts? Can we, maybe break up the money a little bit more so it goes towards the students, but it goes, I guess, in an equitable process. And then also, too, I've had the question brought up to me, and they've asked, what is the responsibility of our district for fixing the scoreboards, for fixing the turf, for fixing the sand at the fields, for fixing all of this stuff? And so I was just curious if we could have a clear, maybe our sports people, our schools, we have a clear expectation of what the booster's responsibility is and then what also the district's responsibility is. And I think that would clear up a lot of confusion because there's a lot of very expensive things that go into these programs, and to expect the boosters to pay for some of these things when it's also being used for with outside, outside programs, I just would like to know what the expectations are. And I think if we have clear expectations, then everyone kind of knows how to fall in line. And so people were sitting up here today also talking about all the charter school talk. And obviously we got a proposal in April for a charter school to basically have a landlord-tenant relationship. And it was immediately sent over to the attorneys, and then a 2-page thing got put out on social media, and everything kind of went haywire. The 3 conservative school board members were going to be bringing in a charter school at all costs, and it just went completely. I was getting phone calls, and they were telling me where people were in the process, and I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. I've only seen this, and it's at the attorney. And as far as I know, they're just seeing if this is a feasible option. And so more and more teachers called, and I really appreciate the teachers who did call. But I think that there's so much misinformation, and there's so much gossip, and there's so much leaks that this all could have been avoided. I don't know who was leaking from the district to the union. I don't know who was leaking to the teachers. But all I was saying is that there was meetings at the schools, and the teachers were leaving freaked out because they said we were going to blindly approve a charter for this school district. I will not blindly approve anything. I was elected to do what's best for our school district, for our students, for our staff, teachers, everybody. and I will not deviate from that. My politics have nothing to do with bringing in a charter school. Do I support parent choice and school choice? Absolutely, I do. Am I going to do something that's harmful to our district financially, and especially too if it's not a feasible option? Absolutely not. And so I think that part of the problem here is that we have a group of people who are just causing chaos, and the chaos has to stop. And I'm just so happy with the teachers, and I'm so happy with the students and the staff and people who reached out and said, what is going on with this? Because like I said, I could truly say I have no idea because the attorney has it. The only statement that I have made up until that point of last week, when apparently the charter school, we weren't moving fast enough, so they went away. I mean, there was really no there, but we had people making it a there, and I believe it was because of politics. And so we need to keep politics out of this, because we are here for these children. We are here to educate the children. We are here to do what's best for the children and to give them the best education, the best experience, do everything that we can for them. And I'm not bringing my politics into this boardroom or into this school. All I want is for them to be educated. And so I appreciate, once again, all of the people who called and actually asked the question and said, what's going on with this? Because I could honestly say, I have no idea, but the only statement I've made about this charter school, if it's not feasible, if it's harmful to the district, if it's harmful financially to the district, I'm going to vote no, and I won't support this. However, I do support innovation. If we were going to make $1 million and be able to hire 10 more teachers because we had empty classrooms to rent out, then is that an option that we need to take? Should we be innovative about this? Should we actually give a chance? So I am happy that the district did entertain this process, and they did send it out to the attorneys to see, is this something that we can do in the future, or if we can do now? But I'm really, really tired of people just stating that I'm going to, approve a charter school. I'm going to approve this because of my political affiliation. I am here to represent the students in this district, along with the staff, the teachers, everybody. I mean, my kids go here too. So I will not do anything that's harmful to this district. And so if anybody has any questions in the future, please just ask me, please let me know, and please call me and contact me, because I will give you an honest response. My response was the same on social media. My response was the same to emails. Everything was the same. Another thing too, I'm going to address is there's a site that just came out, Supporters of Public Education, and what they basically have said some inflammatory thing. And so I'm just going to, we'll just walk through what their comments were real quick. It says, this is Supporters of Public Education, and they're a group that meets. A lot of them are unions that meet. Josh Newman has met with them several times. Teachers, the Democratic Party. And so, obviously, this isn't a partisan issue, but this is what they are putting out. And so it says, for the Placentia-Yorba Linda Unified School Districts, 4 of the 5 trustees are extremists: Blades, Youngblood, Frazier, and Anderson, with Carrie Buck being the only sane trustee. Congratulations, Carrie. The board majority wants to limit which textbooks are piloted, ignoring suggestions by the actual teachers. And it says Trustee Blades, Youngblood, and Anderson up for re-election in November 2024. If they understood the actual literary review committee and the actual process, that statement is false. Because the OC Deputy District Attorney found that Trustee Blades and Youngblood violated the Brown Act, they had to receive Brown Act training from the school district lawyer. Well, that's not exactly true. It was a potential violation, not a guilty. After being elected, Trustee Blades and Youngblood did not attend Brown Act training from the California School Board Association. That is not true as well. I attended via Zoom because we were in the middle of COVID. So I did attend what all newly elected school board members attended, and it did go over the Brown Act training. So that's another false. Instead, myself and Trustee Youngblood, we attend workshops hosted by OC Board of Education Trustee Mary Barkey's Cal Policy Center for their marching orders to attack public education. I'm sorry. I'm a product of public education. My children are a product of public education. My whole family is. So why would I attack public education? I ran for this office to help hopefully enhance public education. And then it says basically that we released Assistant Superintendent Rick Lopez from his contract, which is not true. And then it says that basically all of our actions are having a chilling effect on educators. And so one thing that I did find that when someone was up here saying, you know, the actions of our students and what's happening in the classrooms, on some of these special board meetings, where there was videos going out and there was Facebook posts by teachers in our district talking about the 3 board members up here. I was called an evangelical fascist by a teacher. And so I'm sitting here going, we're sitting here saying, let's be examples. But then what are we as adults? Are we being examples? Are we being examples to our students by going live on Facebook and calling people these things and attacking somebody's religion? If I was not, I am a Christian. I'm unapologetically a Christian. I have faith in God. If I was a different religion, would that have been acceptable to attack? If I was a different gender, if I was a different race, would that have been acceptable to attack? And so we need to start thinking about this, that it's not just race, it's respect for all that we need to be held accountable to. And we cannot hold our students and sit here and say they have to learn and they have to understand and they have to teach. Not only should we be teaching this as home as parents, but we are not setting a good example by having teachers attacking parents in our school district and people on the board. What kind of example are we setting? So until we start to check ourselves as adults, how can we expect these children's behavior to change? So my only thought tonight is this misinformation that's put out by some members of our community, and it's just causing the chaos in our district. I am once again asking, as I've asked before, that we work together with the district, the union, the teachers, the students in the community to educate and uplift our students. These distractions need to stop, and the focus needs to be on our students and giving the best education possible. The chaos needs to stop, and the focus needs to return into the classroom, to the students, to the sports fields, to the pool deck, everywhere where we can support these students. And so I am saying right now, I am partnering with the teachers. I'm partnering with staff. I will partner with anybody to make these children have the best education possible at Placentia-Yorba. And we've put Dr. Chernus in this seat, and he is fully qualified and capable and will bring us there. So let's stop the noise and get to work. Thank you.
Why do I have to follow that? Okay, guys. So my board report's going to be pretty simple, pretty easy. I just want to thank everybody for showing up tonight. As everyone knows, the past month has been pretty hectic with all of the board meetings and special board meetings, and I will take Marilyn's calendar in consideration for the next special. Hopefully we won't have. But it was very needed to tie up loose ends for the district. And I know, as Ms. Blade did mention, there was a lot of rumor mill that was going on. So there was things that needed to get handled in order not to keep a litigation possible for the district. So that's the reason we had those meetings. And unfortunately, it did happen on days in which we couldn't all attend. I totally get that. I would love to have given each one of our board members the time and date to do that, but I can't reach out to each individual board member. Otherwise, there's some sort of Brown Act violation that might happen. So it goes through a particular channel, usually the superintendent's secretary, and she sends out the request. If you can make it, great. If you can't, and there's not enough for a quorum, then the meeting does not happen. If there is enough, then the meeting does happen. So hopefully that simplifies everything. Next, I would like to just welcome on board Dr. Chernus. We are very excited to see him. Thank you, sir, for for stepping up to the plate here, and I'm excited to see how you will continue to make PYL-USD an excellent district to work in as well as learn in. So welcome aboard. Also, I got a chance to have a Valencia High School tour with Principal Hertzfeld, and I tell you, it ended up being like a mini marathon. I never realized how large that campus is. So by the end of it, I was pretty much spent, and I really thank him for his patience and professionalism, because he had to kind of tow me along a couple of times. Other things, I was fortunate to be a part of the Distinguished Service Awards for Yorba Linda High School, along with Miss Buck. It was incredible once again to see these kids and the teachers moving in a positive direction, and just learning where they're going to go to and end up. Another night in which my hand was kind of sore afterwards. What was there, like 500 students? That was incredible, but really good program. So the next thing, I think most of you know that we had a LCAP draft meeting. It was very informative, and thank you again, Dr. Adamson. I saw her the next day. I thought for sure she was going to be hoarse talking in that one, but due to her input and her staff, our amazing staff, they worked really hard on this. It was a lot easier to kind of digest a lot of these numbers and such. So I look forward to working on that LCAP some more. After which I was invited to the Valadez Middle School Career Day. So there were several of us there. It was truly a unique event. I did get to duck into a few of the classes, including the coroner one, which was very interesting. Kids were riveted. However, I think the coroner was a little callous and threw a lot of stuff out there that these kids might have been a little shocked on. So, but it definitely piqued their interest, and so I look forward to any of these professional careers in which our students get the opportunity. And I too think that it should be brought to other middle schools, because that was an amazing event. Also attended the Valencia High School Distinguished Scholars Award night. I think you were at Miss Anderson, you were at the musical performance. So I was in the scholar, great. They had several kids that were doing musical numbers there, very talented kids. And once again, to see all those seniors that have spent 4 years of their life just making incredible advancements on their education was really a treat for me. Okay, lastly, I was invited to the Multicultural Festival at Melrose Elementary. Myself and Miss Anderson were there, and another incredible event. Principal Yu put on the first annual Multicultural Festival, and it was truly knocked out of the park. It was there were so many people there. It was just an incredible event. You saw Josh Newman was there. He was actually, I saw him trying on bicycle helmets, because they were giving away free bicycle helmets to kids in the community. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But the performances were incredible. The kids themselves dancing around was just amazing to watch, and I really appreciated just being invited. So a lot of fun, and that ends my board report. Thank you.
Mr. Youngblood.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, wait, go ahead. You can applaud.
That's a yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
I just wanted to add one thing, if I could, that it was on the back of my sheet. I just want to make a note of. So somebody recently told me that Disneyland has a workplace violence awareness video that is really impressive. and then suggested that I sent me a few links that I'm going to pass along. And what I'll do is I'll send it by email because you won't be able to click them on my page. But it says while others are debating physical security measures, that there's more that we need to do. That it talks about a multidisciplinary behavioral threat assessment team, and there are some publications here that I'll pass on. It's the Secret Service and FBI both have these publications, but also it mentioned, and maybe Dr. Chernus even knows, LA Unified School District has a threat assessment program that's a really good model that we could look at. Just as things are, we have news stories that come out and even discussions, and I get a lot of questions from parents about what we do. We do a lot of things, but there's always more that can be done, and
Absolutely.
I know we are constantly reevaluating, and so just I'll pass that along so that you can look into that and see what we can, maybe there's something added that we could add on to. So.
Absolutely. If we can increase any of our school safety by using other options, then most definitely. I know most of the parents in the district realized that there was a threat to several Southern Orange County schools. Come to find out, it was a kid in Florida that actually sent that threat out. So why I say that is it would not surprise me if those things became a little more frequent, and it would definitely help out our community if we are on top of getting out the correct information and what we're doing about those types of issues. So absolutely, thank you.
You're welcome. Pass it on.
Okay, anything else? Okay, very good. All right, folks, we're going to go into our next portion. This is going to be action items, general functions. I'm going to go ahead and ask for a motion.
I'll make the motion to adopt the revised board policy 6161.1, selection and evaluation of instructional materials, second reading.
Second.
All right, Ms. Blades, Mr. Frazier, Dr. Adamson, would you take us there?
I absolutely will. Well, good evening, President Youngblood, trustees, Dr. Chernus, and Executive Cabinet. For your review and approval this evening are the proposed revisions to Board Policy 6161.1, which establishes the process by which instructional materials shall be reviewed for recommendation to the Board. This is the second reading and includes the discussion and direction provided at the March 14th and April 11th board meetings, including the change in the literature review process that requires all novels to be board approved prior to piloting, and the addition of parent consent to opt out of any novels being piloted. Included in the revision is language recommended by CSBA and the proposal to delete BP Board Policy 6161. Do you have any questions or suggestions at this time?
I'm going to try one last time. On page 3, third paragraph down, it says, all recommended novels require board approval and parent consent prior to being piloted. And again, I just think that the board approval is kind of an overcorrection. I feel like this policy was definitely lagging in the past without notifying parents, and I feel like we've corrected that issue, and I think that we're just overcorrecting here, and by doing this overcorrection, we're basically cutting out parents, community, and teachers out of the equation of what will be piloted and not piloted. And
are all part of the LRC. How are we cutting them out?
a bigger group. The LRC is a small committee.
Totally understand.
And when we're sending it out to be piloted, we're sending it out to teachers abroad. Students and parents are notified that this book is being piloted, and they're able to make a choice.
Right,
so,
but we're making a determination of whether or not it should go to students. It's just a simple step.
So I just feel if this is how it's going to be, I'm going to be voting against it. I've been on this board for 2.5 years, and we have unanimously approved all curriculum that has come to this board. Even a controversial multicultural curriculum. Everybody voted in favor of it. So my question would be to the people that want this, like, what is the fear? why the overcorrection?
How is the multicultural studies controversial? I thought it was very non-controversial.
Well,
That's why I
but
voted for it.
everybody was like worried that it was going to be controversial. There was a lot of chaos, a lot of noise. We had a lot of people coming, and but it was unanimously approved. So I feel like our Ed Services Department has done a great job in guiding and bringing stuff that would be board approved. So I'm just curious, like, what's the fear and why the overreaction?
I would ask the same question. What's the fear of it coming before us? If it's just a transparency step, it's a public viewing, it goes to parents, it's just very clear. The assumption that every book that's coming through is going to not get approved is a little bit of a overestimation based on your assumption that they're bringing us books that we're going to approve. So it shouldn't matter. It's just a public showing. That's all. And you can vote however you like.
I know I can. I do. I'm just stating the reasons why. So
Okay.
there's no conflict.
I agree with Marilyn. I think requiring board approval prior to being piloted is overstepping, just as you said. I know that you think it's not that big a deal, but it really is. We're circumventing the whole reason that we have educators in the process. Coming back and doing it at the end, we are approving all of the things at the end because it's gone through a very vetted process, and it's gotten to that point. Doing it ahead of time, we're not allowing that process to go forward. We could have things that go forward that never even make it to our table because it has been vetted through that system. I think starting with us as the forefront is the wrong way to go about it, and we're not allowing our experts to be involved in it. So if that's excuse me. So if that's the case, excuse me, it really is my time to talk about this. Please don't cut me off. I am going to vote no on this because of just those 3 words: require board approval before. I think it's great, and parents should be able to opt out. They should be made aware of it prior to being piloted. But I think that the process needs to be that way, and then the board is the final approval. So I will vote no if this line stays in it.
I believe it's a step to protect the students. That's why I instituted it. And I thank you for the clarification. That's good. I'm going to vote yes.
Okay.
So, I'm going to vote yes as well because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but the Literary Review Committee, I was kind of appalled reading Internment, as I know some other parents who read it reached out. But some people were asking people on the Literary Review Committee and the people who were actually pushing this with their name on it if they had read the book, and they said they had not. So I'm wondering if do we have a flawed process? Are people pushing the book through that are not reading it? And so I feel like I'm going to do my due diligence when books come before me. I'm going to read it, and I'm going to, do whatever. And I'm not all about what have we denied so far. Like you said, Marilyn, what have we denied? It's just an extra step. And the board, everything, all responsibility always comes back to the board. And so this is just something we're taking responsibility for.
Okay, so has everyone commented? Are we ready to vote?
Sure.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
No.
Okay. The motion carries 3-2 vote. No board member or no student board. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to delete board policy 6161, instructional materials, second reading.
I'll second.
Okay, Ms. Anderson, Ms. Frazier, Dr. Adamson, if you would.
I didn't really have anything further to say about this one. It's really just to delete it. And so if
Okay.
you want to go ahead and take a
We'll
vote.
go ahead and
just
take a
a
vote.
reminder, it's really because we included all of the language from this one into
Correct.
6161.1.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Item number 3.
I'll make a motion to adopt revised board bylaw 9323 agenda meeting material, second reading.
Need a second?
I'll second.
Dr. Chernis, if you would.
Good evening again, President Youngblood, trustees, and executive cabinet members. Included on the agenda tonight under general functions is a second reading of Board Bylaw 9323, agenda materials, meeting materials. We're bringing this policy back at the request of a board member. If you recall, Dr. Matthews brought this to the board in the fall with the recommendation that the board and the superintendent develop the agenda together. The board decided to keep it where just the superintendent made the agenda. Now this version makes the recommendation that the board president and the superintendent work together to develop the agenda. There are other slight changes in the policy based on recommendations from council and your suggestions as a board last month. These suggestions include new language pointing to Board Bylaw 9322.2, which outlines our process for public comment, and a new parameter for our planning meetings, which states that the superintendent and board president will be accompanied by one additional board member on a rotating basis. If approved tonight, we will adopt the revised version of this policy and will follow it moving forward.
Okay, comments?
No, I think it looks great. I think the added detail makes sense and it will be easy to follow. So I'm good with it.
Okay. And the rotated board member, is that optional? Like in, let's say one of the board members don't want to be at that meeting, they don't necessarily have to be there. Is that correct?
At the option of the board. At the option of the other board member.
Correct.
Not saying the president can say
No,
you
no,
can't
I
come.
can't say no.
Yeah,
No,
gotcha.
no, Todd, you
Good.
can't
That
come
would be
to
kind
it.
of cool.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Motion carries 5-0.
Would you like me to start with the motion for the next one?
Yeah, I
Okay.
can't seem to get my pages right here, so.
I
yes,
move that
please.
we approve the continued display of these materials for 30 days at PYL USD District Office, with the final review for approval to take place at the June board meeting for the 6th grade Dual Language Academy, DLA, Vista Higher Learning, Galleria de Lingua y Cultura, Volume 1, 2023.
Second.
So quick. Okay, Dr. Adamson, if you would.
Thank you. That was exceptional pronunciation, I must say. I'm impressed. All right. Well, once again, good evening, President Youngblood, members of the board, Dr. Chernus, Executive Cabinet. We're pleased to present the Spanish Language Arts development materials that have been selected for our 6th grade Dual Language Academy. All materials are currently on public display in the main lobby of our district office, and the only action we're seeking tonight is for the approval of the continuation of the 30-day public review. It's my pleasure to introduce our Director of Elementary Education, Dr. Liz Leone, to provide you with more information about these materials.
Good evening, President Youngblood, trustees, Dr. Chernus, and Executive Cabinet. The Dual Language Academy classes at Glenview Elementary matriculated to 6th grade in 2022-2023, and teachers had initially opted to utilize Spanish novels. However, after further review, our 2 DLA teachers wanted a more robust Spanish language development resource to include grammar, vocabulary, spelling. Teachers determined that Vista Higher Learning, Galleria de Lengua y Cultura textbook provided all the support needed. All materials are currently on public display in the main lobby of our district office. The only action for which we seek your approval tonight is a continuation of the 30-day public review. We intend to bring forward all materials for your final approval at the June board meeting.
Awesome. Questions? All right. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, ma'am. All right. Moving on.
I'll make a motion to continue display of De Como la Tía Lola Vida. Well, I picked the long one. De Vista a Quedarse. How Tia Lola Came to Visit Stay by Julia Alvarez.
La Reina del Taco.
La Reina del Taco. Steph Soto. Taco Queen. Steph Soto by Jennifer Torres. La Distancia Entre Nosotros. The Distance Between Us. A memoir by Reina Grande. Invisible by Eloy Moreno. Inquiry by Design, Spanish edition, 2023. These materials will be on display for 30 days at the PYUSD District Office with a final review for approval at the June board meeting for the 7th grade Dual Language Academy.
I'll second.
Okay, Dr. Adamson.
Thank you so much. Well, once again, I will to present the Spanish Language Arts Development material selected for our newly added 7th grade Dual Language Academy class next year. I present Dr. Liz Leon, who can give us the perfect pronunciation of those words. Trust me.
She's my backup tonight. Good evening, President Youngblood, trustees, Dr. Chernus, and Executive Cabinet. The Dual Language Academy classes at Glenview Elementary will matriculate to Bernardo-Yorba Linda Middle School in 2023-2024. In preparation for the Spanish Language Arts Honors Course, text in Spanish written by primary Spanish speakers is required, and teachers at Bernardo-Yorba Linda Middle School determine the following text. De cómo la tía Lola vino de visitar a quedarse, How Tía Lola Came to Visit and Stay, by Julia Alvarez. La Reina del Taco, Steph Soto, Taco Queen, Steph Soto, by Jennifer Torres. La Distancia entre Nosotros, The Distance Between Us, a memoir, by Reina Grande. Invisible, by Elroy Moreno. Inquiry by Design, Spanish edition 2023. All materials are currently on public display in the main lobby of our district office. The only action for which we seek your approval tonight is a continuation of the 30-day public review. We intend to bring forward all materials for your final approval at the June board meeting. Thank you.
Quick question, Dr. Leon. Is Invisible, do you have an English version for that? I got that, and I can't read a thing in it.
Oh, no. Sorry, we don't.
All right, thank you. Questions?
I'll read it to you.
Thank you. Somebody Spanish, read it to me, please. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Ready?
Yes, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the continued display of the following materials for 30 days at the PYL USD District Office with a final review for approval to take place at the June board meeting. World History 10th grade, National Geographic, Voyages of Exploration, U.S. History 11th grade, National Geographic, America Through the Lens, Government 12th grade, McGraw-Hill, Impact Principles of American Democracy, Economics 12th grade, McGraw-Hill, Impact Principles of Economics.
Second.
Dr. Adamson, if you would.
Thank you once again. Well, next we are pleased to present to you the material selected by our high school pilot committee for the History Social Studies adoption, which includes a summary of the steps that the committee took this past year. All materials are currently on public display in the main lobby of our district office, and once again, the only action that we're seeking this evening is your approval of the continuation of the 30-day public review. I just want to say that we're truly grateful to the members of the High School Pilot Committee, consisting of teachers, TOSers, and administrators for their incredible dedication and commitment and focused guidance and direction that they showed from start to finish. I understand the pride and, as I've said before, maybe a little relief that they're feeling as we move on to this next important step. It's my pleasure to introduce our Director of High School Education, Mrs. Gina Aguilar, to present an overview of the process and final recommendations.
Good evening, President Youngblood, trustees, Dr. Chernus, and Executive Cabinet. This evening, we are excited to share the history social science materials recommended by our pilot team for board consideration. We are recommending National Geographic materials for world history and U.S. history, and McGraw-Hill materials for U.S. government and economics. Please allow me to provide you with details of how we've come to select these materials. Since the adoption of our current textbooks, there have been many changes to history and social science education. The framework encompasses new content, literacy developments aligned with the Common Core state standards, inquiry models of instruction, and civic engagement applications. These emphasize investigation, close reading, analysis of evidence, argumentative writing skills, and inquiry. The pilot team was guided through the pilot process by the Orange County Department of Education. Our committed pilot teachers have spent 7 months working to select the best curricula for our students. With the help of the common textbook assessment tool provided by OCDE, world and U.S. history teachers chose to pilot Savas and National Geographic. The economics team chose to pilot HMH and McGraw-Hill, and the U.S. government pilot team chose Savas and McGraw-Hill. Upon completion of each pilot, teachers carefully analyzed the data collected through teacher and student surveys and engaged in detailed discussions regarding their experience with the selected textbooks. OCDE provided data-driven pilot expectations and a textbook evaluation toolkit. From these, teachers in each content area collaboratively selected a unit with at least 3 lessons or activities to pilot over a 2 to 3 week period and 1 open-ended inquiry-based common assessment. Both students and teachers were expected to provide feedback on their pre-selected common lessons. At the end of the unit, teachers were asked to evaluate the differentiation and critical objectives of the unit. In order to make an informed decision, teachers collected data on what students learned, textbook readability, and the effectiveness of each lesson, and I shared all that data with you in a board update. They assessed the textbook's alignment to the framework and its teaching strategies, paying close attention to its support for enrichment and intervention. Students supplied feedback on what they learned, the readability of the text, and how effective the lesson was. In total, 1,722 high school student feedback surveys were collected. Due to the overwhelmingly positive feedback from both teachers and 581 students, the pilot team for World and U.S. History has unanimously recommended National Geographic for adoption, with 25% supporting and 75% strongly supporting this selection. The U.S. government and economics pilot teams also came to a unanimous decision to recommend McGraw-Hill, with 100% of the team strongly recommending the material. This textbook also had extremely positive feedback from the 1,073 students involved in the pilot. Our next steps for our high school history social science adoption will include the continuation of the 30-day public display of National Geographic for World and U.S. History and McGraw-Hill for Government and Economics, which began on Monday, May 8th. This evening, we are seeking your approval only for the continuation of the 30-day public review. We intend to bring the curriculum forward again for the final board approval at the June 6th meeting, with expected implementation to begin this fall. Thank you for your consideration this evening.
Questions?
Unanimous is pretty cool.
We like unanimous.
All right, so all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Item 4, please.
I'll move we approve the continued display of the following Cambridge History Social Science materials for grades 11-12 for the implementation in the 2023-24 school year. Hodder Education, Access to History for Cambridge International AS Level, International History 1870 to 1945. 2019 for 11th grade Cambridge International History Year 1 Hodder Education, Access to History for the IB Diploma, The Cold War, Superpower Tensions and Rivalries, 2nd edition book, ebook 2022 for 12th grade Cambridge International History Year 2.
I'll second.
Dr. Adamson.
Of course. Well, we're seeking your approval for the continuation of the 30-day display of the materials we're proposing for both our Cambridge International History course, well, just for our Cambridge International History course. Once again, I introduce Mrs. Aguilar to present these materials for your consideration.
Thank you. There are 2 Cambridge AICE history courses in need of updated and relevant materials. These updated materials will provide teachers and students access to topics that are specific to the Cambridge AS and A levels of history, as well as IB higher level history. They provide a reliable, clear, and in-depth narrative from topic experts, analysis of the historiography surrounding key debates, and exam practice with model answers and practice questions. The textbooks requested are Hodder Education, Access to History for Cambridge International AS, and Hodder Education, Access to History for the IB Diploma, The Cold War. These recommended materials are currently on a 30-day public review, which began on May 8th. And tonight we request the continuation of this public display. We plan to bring them back to the June 6th board meeting for final approval. Thank you.
Questions? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0.
I'll make a motion to approve the continued display of these materials for 30 days at the Pewell USD District Office with final review for approval to take place at the June board meeting. BFW Publishers, Environmental Science for the AP course 4th edition 2023 by Andrew Freeland and Rick Relia. BFW Publishers, Krugman's Economics for the AP course 4th edition 2023 by David Anderson and Margaret Ray.
I'll second.
Okay, Dr. Anderson.
All right, and finally, we're seeking your approval for the continuation, once again, of the 30-day display of the materials to replace the outdated AP environmental and macroeconomics materials. To present these materials for your consideration, once again, Mrs. Aguilar.
Thank you again. Periodically, it is necessary to update advanced placement textbooks to provide the most current materials to students. Both AP Environmental Science and AP Macroeconomics materials are being considered to replace the current materials in use which were published prior to 2011. New AP Environmental Science materials will provide teachers and students access to the most current environmental topics with significant changes in the last 10 years, including case studies, environmental data, extinctions, scientific advancements, and current environmental laws and regulations. New AP Macroeconomics materials will provide teachers and students information aligned with the new California framework, as well as the AP course outline with updates from the last 10 years. Both AP instructor teams carefully evaluated the materials from several publishers, requested copies of textbooks from publishers to review, and determined that the materials I will share with you were truly aligned with the College Board standards and expectations for their respective classes. Both hard copy textbooks are available with online resources, which is a resource not currently available to our AP Environmental Science or AP Macroeconomics students and teachers. The instructors have unanimously agreed to recommend adoption of their respective materials, which are BFW Publishers Environmental Science for the AP course 4th edition, and BFW Publishers Krugman's Economics for the AP course 4th edition. These recommended materials are currently on a 30-day public review, which began on May 8th, 2023, and we plan to bring them back to the June 8th, 2023 board meeting for final approval. Thank you.
Comments, questions, concerns? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, that brings us to our next portion. Human Resources. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the 2023 to 2024 Declaration of Need for Fully Qualified Educators.
I'll second.
Okay, Ms. Blades, Ms. Anderson, second. All right, Ms. Nancy Blade, if you would.
Start over. Thank you, President Youngblood, members of the board, Dr. Chernus, executive cabinet members, and the members of our community. The Declaration of Need for Qualified Educators for the 23-24 school year, when filed with the Commission for Teacher Credentials, allows our district to follow a process in the fall or throughout the next school year when you would approve emergency contracts because we can't find fully qualified teachers. So it's rather routine in districts, but important to take care of right now.
Okay, questions,
None.
concerns? Sounds like something we need, right?
Yes.
All right, then we'll, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. All right, this brings us to our next portion, our consent calendar. Actions proposed for the consent calendar items are consistent with approved practices of the district and are deemed routine in nature. The trustees received board agenda backup information in advance to the scheduled meeting and are prepared to vote with knowledge on the block vote items. So, looks like there is 60 items. So, are there any?
I
that
have
you
a
would-
couple I'd like to pull.
Yes, ma'am.
Number 57 and 58, and we can do those together when we get to that point.
57 and 58. Okay, anyone else?
Yes, 45 and 46.
45 and 46.
Do we need to pull
And-
53?
Yes, ma'am, I'll be pulling 53.
Okay.
Is there any more? Okay, let me make sure I've got them all correct here. So I have pulled 45, 46, 53, 57, and 58. Is that correct? All right. All right, so excluding those items that were pulled, I need a motion to approve all the listed recommendations.
I move we approve all the listed recommendations, minus
Second.
the ones that are pulled.
Second also.
Okay, and all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll start at, Ms. Blades, you brought up number 45.
Yes.
45.
I'll make a motion to approve the independent contract agreement with Aaron Sherrard and Essential Connections to support Love and Logic and professional development in Placentia-Yorba Unified School District for the 2023 to 24 school year.
I'll second.
Okay.
So my question is for the 45 and 46 is as we've been looking at the structure of our district, it seems that we have a lot of teachers on special assignment at the district office, and they can actually take over and do a lot of this professional development. And so my question is, do we have personnel available to take over this, the professional development for 45 and then also too when I do 46 in a moment? I think that it would save us at least $56,000 or $60,000 if we can use our own personnel to do this. And I know that it's very common. When I worked admin jobs at the police department, they'd have train the trainer. We'd get sent and have to bring it back and train our own people. And so since we do appear to be full abundance of TOSAs, is there someone who could take over and take care of this professional development?
Well, thank you for the question, first of all, Trustee Blades. I think we definitely have TOSAs who specialize, but they're more specific in content areas. We don't have a TOSA who's specifically specialized to really provide behavioral training to this degree. I think what we've found, particularly this year, is the training that we've been able to provide through Love and Logic, particularly for our parents, and that's a heavy part of what we're including in this proposal. And very often those are full-day trainings. The trainers through Love and Logic are fully specialized, in the strategies that Love and Logic entails. In addition to that, they are certified, and so really, to be able to teach the Love and Logic curriculum, you need to be certified through their programs, and that requires, I believe, just a significant number of hours. So we would have to send all of our TOSAs for that training. I could get more information on that to you as to what that entails. But honestly, when I think of the TOSAs that we have in place currently, their focus is truly intended for the content areas that they specialize in.
So what are the examples of the TOSAs that we have? We have induction TOSAs. What are the other ones?
We don't have an induction TOSA, we have an induction coordinator who
Right.
oversees the program. We definitely utilize our TOSAs are specialized to provide training in some of the content area that we want to provide our new teachers at the beginning of the year, but it's not specifically an induction TOSA.
Okay. So you could technically send somebody, our own staff, to train with this Love and Logic, and then we could be using our own staff members, our own TOSAs, our own personnel to continue this on?
We could. I think the model that we use for the training that we provide for the teachers is it typically happens after school hours. It's a couple of hours long, so up to 3 to 4 hours after school. And so we would really have to be paying our TOSers additional hours because it would extend beyond their work hours as well. And so I think, we could do the calculations on that, obviously, but I think it would really be stretching our TOSers beyond their current hours and really requiring additional time, on their behalf in order to make that work. I just, I think, and I don't know if you've ever attended any of the Love and Logic, conferences or trainings that we've provided, but they're incredibly, as I said, they're incredibly specialized, and there is something about being able to go out to an outside organization such as Love and Logic and have their trainers come in to be able to provide that for us. It's just any one of us could become specialized, in that area, but it wouldn't be someone who is purely embedded in that particular content area, right? Any one of our TOSers, it's one of our ELA TOSers, for example, they would be doing the Love and Logic in addition to everything else that is on their job description.
I went to the Love and Logic training at Melrose at Tynes Gym, and I was just really impressed. Besides there being many parents there, they were really good about answering the parents' questions and assisting them. They got standing ovation at the end, and there were still parents talking to the specialists. As I left, everyone was peppering. I didn't even get to thank them for their presentation because there were so many parents asking for help. And I just feel like this is an important topic that our parents and our communities, it's a great resource for them. And I just think we should continue it. We definitely have the funds for this. Is that correct, Mr. Giordano?
My thought process on this is you're saying that it's great, but if we can do it, and as staff members in Placentia-Yorba, Linda, isn't that what the community engagement is about? Is that you can learn something, you teach it. That's all my thought is that we use a lot of outside contractors when we could be training our staff. To do this, and then have these train the trainer scenarios. And that's what I'm kind of looking at is so you have a lot of people, or, at least a few people who can start to specialize in this area, and then we don't have to go outside any longer.
I think from a strategy standpoint, that makes sense to look into it and say, how do we minimize these kind of contracts? Not that they're not bad. I think they are good. But if we could utilize a strategy that says, how do we implement this internally? I think it's a valid question to look into.
Trustee Bud.
Thank you. I think this is incredibly valuable. I've been watching this for years. It's not just one person that's coming out and doing this too. It's a pair of them, and they work off of each other. They've got so much experience and so many years in this, doing these presentations and talking to parents, and talking about to teachers as well. So there's two things that you have to look at, when you're looking at disciplining when in the classroom or at home. The conversations that they have, the stories that they've heard over time for both of those, at least the two that I was listening to, nobody else is going to get that by just going and doing presentations just around. This is their full-time job, and they go to all kinds of districts doing this. So they live it every single day, which is different than if our TOSAs were going to be doing a handful of presentations throughout the year. It's a big investment for them just to do a few when we can utilize somebody that's doing that on a regular basis that just has more expertise in it. There are some other things I'm sure we could use TOSAs for. This one in particular, I've seen it in action. We've used it at the shelter. We have them come in and teach our parents as well who really need it. It's been incredibly valuable. So there's my notes.
Do you have to excuse yourself from the vote since you hire this contractor at your shelter?
They're not currently at our shelter. They haven't been in the last couple of years.
I would have to ask, is there Is there another program that's similar to this that we can compare it to?
I have tried a number of different ones for us specifically because especially with families that are unhoused, there's a lot of additional stuff that goes with that. So we have moved more toward a targeted one that has to do with childhood trauma. That's just a little bit more nuanced for unhoused.
And I think cost-wise, it's very comparable to, you know, what other organizations would charge. I think the benefit with Love and Logic is we have been using them for multiple years. I think almost six or seven at this point. And so I think there's something known about that, you know, teachers continue just to hone their skills specific to that strategy. I also, you know, we just add, I think that we've continued to hear so many positive results and feedback from parents and teachers alike, administrators as well, just because the strategies are proven and we get effective results, you know, through utilizing it. I don't know if there's anything else, Dr. Spacer, would like to share in it, just given you have been instrumental in bringing on those trainings this year that you think would be helpful.
Absolutely. So we had the pleasure of having 3 parent events over the last 3 weeks and had over 170 in attendance, but really having the opportunity to meet the need. What we're hearing not only from our parents but also our teachers is that behaviors are at the forefront of several things that are happening within the classroom around our positive behavior interventions and supports. A lot of this has come from the pandemic. We have part of this contract is supporting our new teachers with strategies. One of the things that we've seen is that our teachers that are here on their candidacies, when they were in the classroom doing their student teaching, that they didn't have that traditional environment. So they were doing student teaching through Zoom. So we are continuously pulling our sites. Each of our sites completes a tiered fidelity inventory twice a year, and behaviors are the thing rising. And so we really want the best of the best, and we want the experts, and we want to hear our parents. And our parents are craving support. I also 100% appreciate the train the trainer model, and I think we should always be advocating checking the return on our investment and continuing to making sure that we're getting the best of the best. 100% hear it. But our TOSAs are working directly with the curriculum. Each one of these implementations that we bring to you, they are the leads on that. So they're the ones providing the professional development. So when we look at capacity and the number of hours in the day, we really want our parents, we want to listen to the parents, and that's really the reasoning behind this and us increasing the amount to get that support. In addition, they've been instrumental with our DLAC. So our parents of our students that speak other languages, they've been coming to those meetings and working directly with those parents. So it's been a great opportunity. We did surveys at the last 3 events. People are craving more. So that's helpful.
Yeah, I found the comments that were in our board update, and that was exactly what it was. One person said, I love this class/training, took so much away from it, and would love to see/attend more.
I didn't pull this because I'm against it. I'm pulling it because if this is such a good program, how come if we have all this, we have a lot of TOSAs. And so I'm wondering why we don't train our own staff to do this. And I think it's just something we need to look to in the future to do, because, you know, hiring these outside resources to come in a few times a year versus you have your staff sitting here and you can do more and more within it. I was just trying to think outside the box of always having to hire outside. You train your own staff, and then they train other people, and then that's how you really build up your people. So that's all.
And you create a culture.
Yes.
But I think that this is just a strategy conversation.
Right.
I think it's a good conversation to have about it.
Right.
It's good.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Any other
Dr. Adamson said 6 years we've had Love and Logic. Is that about?
Yeah,
So
it could even be more, but at least 6, yeah.
At least 6?
Yeah.
Okay. Carrie, about that much? Okay. So their strategy has changed, especially since the COVID era happened. Is it still pretty much the same? Is it like the same song and dance, or is there something
all-
totally?
I mean, it's all
it's
based on, I think it's really about building relationships is what it comes down to. And I think it's been very consistent, but that's where they begin. They start with building the trust, with the child, that whether it's a teacher or parent that they're working with. And ultimately it's a restorative approach to it, but also building, developing accountability for students for their own actions, but in a very calm and proactive way where, students are taught to self-calm and build those strategies that they need to deal with conflict and feelings of anger, right, that can lead to trouble.
And some of the strategies are 30 years old. I mean, in all honesty, but what they're constantly looking at is putting that finger on the pulse. What are the hot topics, right? What are the trends that we're seeing in supporting our parents? What are parents asking for? What are teachers asking for? So shifts happen with that, but some of it is 30 years old or more.
Thank you. All right, folks. So we have a motion on the table. I'm going to go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Number 46, Leander.
Make a motion to approve the agreement with Total Education System Support for Dr. Jean Tavernetti to provide coaching and professional development to PYLUSD induction candidates and new site administrators from August 8, 2023 through June 21, 2024.
Second.
I definitely think in this area that we do have people who can conduct this training, and so I think we should be using our own TOSAs or a coordinator, whoever it is, to do this. We've been hiring him for the last couple years. His name has been brought up, and I don't really see a lot of, I think maybe just a change is necessary. Our scores are going down, and I think maybe it's just something we should try to do in-house, or we need to try to change it up a bit.
Mr. Tavernetti's been incredibly popular. I haven't actually seen him in action. So could you tell us maybe a little bit about what that looks like specifically for a teacher and the coaching that he provides? Could we provide that in other ways?
I mean, we absolutely could. It's essentially he specializes in direct, explicit instruction. And so, once again, to the point you've all been making, really identifying and developing that trainer of trainers model. Ultimately, our TOSAs certainly are. That's an area that they specialize in. And so, we can certainly, they do embed a lot of those strategies into the training that they provide. Again, this is just specifically for our new teachers. Once again, I'd love to have Dr. Spessard just share a little bit more about the details of particularly what those initial days look like when he comes in to work with the teachers.
Yeah, so I've been here 10 months, but when I got here, I was told you got to go see him in action. So I went and attended the professional development. And so what he's really working on is supporting our teachers and coaching alongside them. So what is different about that is that teachers sign up for the training, they get the professional development, and then he goes out to the sites and watches them coach and have conversations with one another. He really focuses on the zones, and so really being effective in how you're teaching and how you're engaging students. What we've seen post-pandemic, again, is that attention spans have significantly shortened. And so he works with our teachers to capitalize on those short windows of opportunity to provide direct instruction and to keep kids motivated and engaged within the classroom. So his model is he brings a cohort together, provides the training, and then goes out to the site and works with that individual teacher, either year 1, year 2, or year 3. And so it's been really well received. Again, I've been here 10 months, but I, again, don't think there's anything wrong with us going back and saying, hey, are we maximizing our resources? I appreciate that, actually. But again, he's been really highly acclaimed, and people are begging for him. So that's pretty much all I can share on that.
Another question. How many teachers is he working with, or do you anticipate him working with next year? And it's the whole year contract, so how many times is he engaging with them?
So we have the opportunity to set different modules throughout the year. We have 86 candidates currently that have the opportunity. So depending on how many first, second, and third year teachers we have next year that are within the program, we have the ability to support them all.
It's first, second, and third year teachers. Oh, that's good.
And we're using this through our grant. We're paying for
Mhm.
this through our educator effectiveness grant.
Yes.
Okay.
Could our TOSAs do this as well?
Yeah, could they shadow this
Well-
person?
Because you, instead of him coming in from the outside and then you are walking through with this person, you're kind of following through.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would let Dr. Adamson speak to that. She's over the TOSAs, but from what I've seen is our TOSAs are fully on board with induction already. So they provide the breakout sessions, they provide the mentorships, in addition to our mentors. So that, with the curriculum rollouts on top of that, and the ELD master plan, it would be looking at capacity and looking at those individuals. But she probably would be the better one to speak to that because she oversees them.
Thank you for that, Dr. Spacey. I mean, absolutely, we can have them attain some of this training to just really hone and further their skills. But as I said, I think their focus is so specific to their content areas, and so it would be embedded in the training they already provide. I think just the additional benefit from having someone from the outside provide that feedback, it's sort of that coaching cycle, that it is someone that's coming in from with a little bit more of an objective view, that they're not necessarily they're bringing feedback from an outside perspective, right, of what they're seeing out there in at other schools, in other situations. It's not necessarily from our own TOSAs who have a little bit more of that closer working relationship with our teachers and are there as a means of support versus coaching, right?
Yeah, so I'd appreciate hearing the discussion, some time to look at this, and meet with Dr. Adamson and her team, and see what we can offer and what this consultant's bringing to the table, and if I think it's a worthy position, which I'm hearing it could quite possibly be, to bring it back in June. But I'd ask the board not to vote on it tonight, so I have some time to look at it, because I do think that we should look at maximizing our resources. We have teachers that, we have employees that focus just on this area. And so this could be something that we're duplicating efforts and maybe not, but I'd like to at least spend some time to look at it with staff. And I didn't get a chance to dig into that in my first week, so yeah. So I'd ask that we could bring it back.
That's fine with me.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to
Table?
I will make a motion to table number 46.
Or do we
And-
just
or
pull
do
it?
a
We just pull
substitute-
it,
Pull
I
it?
think.
We can
Yeah.
pull
Or
it.
do I
We-
substitute my motion?
I think we just
Because I already
pull
have a
it.
motion on the table.
Okay, we can.
I'll make
Withdraw.
a substitute motion.
Withdraw
to
your-
table.
Withdraw
I'll-
your-
I'll withdraw. I withdraw my motion.
And then, Carrie, you would need to withdraw
I
your
withdraw my second.
Okay. So item number 46 is withdrawn to revisit in June.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so this brings us to number 53. I'm going to make a motion that we approve the oral summary of salary and/or fringe benefits, ratification of employment agreement, superintendent pursuant to Government Code Section 53262 and 54953. I'll need
I'll
a second.
second.
Okay. All right, in this, the Placentia-Yorba School District has previously offered to employ Dr. Alex Chernis upon certain terms and conditions, which was to commence July 18th, 2023. Fortunately for us, Dr. Chernis was able to commence working for the district as of May 1st, 2023. As a result, the board voted to hire Dr. Chernis effective May 1st, 2023, based upon the same terms and conditions for salary and fringe benefits as reported out at the regular meeting on April 18th, 2023, but prorated for the interim 54-day period between May 1st and July 17th of 2023. Consequently, for the term of this contract, Dr. Chernus shall receive an annual salary of $93,750. Dr. Chernus shall be entitled to 3 days of leave of absence for illness or injury with full pay. Dr. Chernus may accrue and accumulate sick pay as allowed by the Education Code. Dr. Chernus shall be entitled to 6 working days of vacation with pay, in addition to holidays as defined in Section 37220 of the Education Code. Dr. Chernus shall receive a monthly car allowance of $500 to cover the cost of transportation expenses incurred in the connection with the district's business. The district shall reimburse Dr. Chernus for all actual and necessary expenses incurred by him within the scope of his employment in accordance with applicable district policy. The district shall pay Dr. Chernus annual memberships in the Association of California School Administrators and any other organization approved by the board. Dr. Chernus shall receive all employment benefits granted to the district's cabinet employees, including laptop and cell phone. Do I have any comments on this? Any concerns? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. The next,
If I could pull the next two together, and we can vote on them
Yes.
together.
The next,
57 and 58.
57 and 58. Go ahead, Ms. Buck.
These are both having to do with our student teaching.
Need a motion?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'd like to make a motion that we approve both 57 and 58 with our teaching agreements with Hope University and California State Polytechnic University.
Second.
Thank you. So for both of these together, I just want to, if I could get some more information, or if the board could get some more information on the names of the schools and how many student teachers we get from each one of those. And the reason I ask, I just heard a recent statistic that 76% of student teachers in Orange County come from Cal State Fullerton. And we don't, so I want to see where we get them from and what the numbers look like. And that's it.
So you just asked for more information, not
Mhm,
necessarily
more
not
information.
to
More
vote.
information, okay.
Got it.
I also have a question about why does it say July 1st, 2024 on the Hope agreement?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question, too.
Yeah, that's a good question. They have everyone approve a year ahead of time, so we already approved the one for the coming
So we're already
year.
in this.
Yeah, a year.
Okay.
So it's just a year out. Okay.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, I have a motion and have a second. Let's go ahead and vote on this. All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No, motion carries 5-0. Okay, that brings us to another order of business.
Make a
Aye.
motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn by Ms.
Second.
Who seconded that? Okay, and Ms. Buck. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, at this point, we are adjourned at 21:47.